como yo. Ella es tímida y yo no con estas ganas que tengo yo. Me atrevo a comérmelo todo. Hoy estás jangueando con ella, pero después tal vez no. ¿Qué hubiera sido? Ey, ¿cómo? Seguramente estarías bailando hasta conmigo. No como amigos, no, no, no. Ey, 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 ey. Chiquilla, 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 chiquilla.
¿Qué lo que? Estamos a rular y empezó el verano. ¡Fuego!
¿Qué hubiera sido si antes te hubiera conocido? Seguramente estarías bailando hasta conmigo. No como amigos, sino como otra cosa. Usted cerca me pone peligrosa. Por un besito hago cualquier cosa. La novia suya me pone celosa. Y aunque es hermosa, ey, no te va a tratar como yo. No te va a besar como yo. No está tan rica así como yo. Ella es tímida y yo no con estas ganas que tengo yo. Me atrevo a comérmelo todo. Hoy estás jangueando con ella, pero después tal vez no. ¿Qué hubiera sido si antes te hubiera conocido? Seguramente estarías bailando hasta conmigo. No como amigos, ey, ¿qué hubiera sido? Ay, si antes te hubiera conocido. Seguramente estarías bailando hasta conmigo. No como amigos, ey, y yo te veo y no sé cómo actuar. Bebé, pa' conquistarte que me pase en el manual. Espero lo que sea, yo no me voy a quitar. Tengo fe que esos ojitos un día me van a mirar. Yo me caso contigo, mi nombre suena bien con tu apellido. Estoy esperando el primer des...
Okay. Cazares. Oh, that is me. Oh, this is my first time introing. Oh my gosh, it's that time. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Well, actually, welcome to me. This is my first episode hosting Behind the Business. I am so excited because y'all know I love music and I love the music industry. And today we have such a special episode. I am turned. I hope y'all are too because I am so excited. Not only is this my first time hosting Behind the Business, where we are going to introduce you to an amazing music industry professional, but we're also celebrating something so incredibly and important today, Hispanic Heritage Month, and I have the best person ever here to celebrate with me. I am going to ask her so many questions, so y'all better stay tuned. We might be here a couple hours because we're going to be chatting for real. But with that in mind, remember that y'all have access to the chat, so you could chat with us, okay? It's not just us chatting, it's all of us chatting, and we are excited. I do want to do an intro to our special guest because she's just such a special person and an incredible human being, and she just represents the company so amazingly. So today I am introducing you to, I'm going to read her bio for y'all because she has all the accolades, but we have Kennia Cazares, and she works within digital supply chain at Universal Music Latino, UML, and she has been with Universal Music Group for 13 years. I know that's right. Talk about longevity, consistency, and just doing the thing. Oh my God, I can't wait to get into her journey. But the really, really exciting thing that we're going to talk about, well, one of many, she started at Universal Music Group distribution as an intern. And similarly to me, because I started as an 1824 rep and then now I'm doing this, I just know we're going to have so much to talk about. She is from a small town in California, but she moved to Los Angeles, California in 2008 to pursue her dream of working in the music industry. I feel that because that's also what I did. But I moved from the East Coast, but I definitely resonate. She graduated from the University of Southern California. Okay, fight on. I know that's right, my twin. With a degree in communications and a minor in music industry. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing so many similarities already. After graduating from USC, she started working at UML, where she has worked in marketing, digital, and production on projects from some of our favorite artists. Oh my gosh, we have Luis Fonsi in here. This is ridiculous. We're gonna have so much fun today. She has served on the boards for Cultura and the Universal Music Women's Network, one of our ERGs, Employee Resource Groups, and she's also an active Recording Academy member. Wow, okay, big things. And not only that, the list keeps going and going and going. She has served as a Grammy U mentor and is a Grammy Next alumna. We are gonna have to get into that because wow. But also, the fun doesn't stop there. She is a music producer, and y'all know that there is a large percentage of men dominating the music production industry. So what I can't wait to get into is how she balances all of that and is really just on her A game out here. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy you're here.
Thank you, Taylor. Oh my God, the intro. I'm like, you're hyping me up over here.
Because you're just amazing. And I'm so grateful that you're here. I couldn't imagine anyone else being here today. Like, this is so exciting. And I'm honored to be in the same room as you, honestly.
Thank you.
Like, goals.
I'm excited. And this is your first Behind the Business that you're hosting.
Yes.
So congrats. Big up to you. Thank you.
I am so excited. This is going to be so much fun. And I just can't wait to get into it today with you.
Likewise. Thank you.
So first off, how is your morning going?
Morning was a little hectic coming in. I'm coming in from the valley, so the 405 was crazy traffic. I know you saw it too.
Absolutely.
That's just LA for you. It's. But we're here. We made it.
We're here. We made it. We're here. And I'm very excited that you're here.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about what the last year has looked like for you?
The last year, I'm the director of the digital supply chain at Universal Music Latin Entertainment. So that's just basically overseeing all of our releases from start to finish.
Wow.
Working with A&R, with marketing, a lot of meetings every single day.
Yeah.
Start my mornings like 8:30 or 9 a.m. meetings. All morning.
Okay.
Basically to go over the status, like, do we have the parts? Do we have the audio? Do we have the artwork? Do we have legal approval? And pushing it out the door and making sure it's live on Spotify, the video's live on Vivo, YouTube.
Yeah.
If there's any issues, going and resolving that. And just the volume has gone up immensely. So
absolutely.
It's just, and everything's like rush, we got to keep up with these artists nowadays that are constantly putting out music.
Such a fast-paced environment.
Super.
How do you find balance within all of that, especially in this like leadership position that you're in?
It's hard, I'm not gonna lie, but just keeping organized. Like that's one thing that my team, and thanks to my boss, Ricardo, he does a great job keeping everybody organized. We use Monday.com to have the schedule and like literally real time what the status is of everything, and just constant communication with the teams.
Yeah,
So
of course.
that helps us keep everything at bay, you know?
Yeah, staying organized is so important, especially in such a fast-paced environment. And how do you make sure that you're also having fun? Because at the end of the day, the music business is such a fun one to be a part of.
It is.
And there's always going to be the good parts. There's going to be highs and lows. How do you kind of just like stay consistent with it and also make sure you're enjoying the ride too?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's always been fun for me is the music industry.
Yeah.
Like ever since day one, since I was an intern, like it's like just being in the building, you know, it's a cool environment. Like you get to work in every day.
It is.
So I do appreciate that, you know, coming into UMG's offices and just, you know, you look at it, it's a vibe, you know?
It's a vibe. I'm so happy.
So I do enjoy that, but you also have to balance it. You know, there's going to be long nights sometimes when you're trying to rush out a release to make it for 9 p.m. But balance, you know, I'm sure you do extracurricular activities, you know, going to the beach, going for a walk, whatever, you know, even if it's something simple like that. Stepping outside of the office, I always drag all my coworkers out. Like, let's go for a walk. Let's go to a Target run. Like, do something, you know?
I love
just
that.
disconnect completely.
That's amazing. Well, what are some of the things that you do to find balance? Do you have any hobbies outside of work, extracurriculars?
I mean, I love producing music. That's what I love to do.
Oh, gosh.
Whenever I get the chance, the time after work, go in, whether it's just, you know, looking for new sounds, listening to music to be inspired. That's something that I always gives me life, gives me energy.
I love that. And what DAW do you use?
Logic. Logic Pro. Wait, do you produce too?
I do.
Oh, snap. I didn't know that. Okay,
Just a
we have
little
to talk after. Okay.
Yes, I love Logic. That's amazing. So when did you start music production?
Around 2014.
Okay.
That's when I really started taking it seriously. I knew since I was a kid that I wanted to be a music producer.
That's so
But it was just kind of like,
cool.
how do I get into it? I didn't know, you know, YouTube wasn't as prominent back then. Like
YouTube
the tutorials, exactly.
Yup.
So I was like, well, I got to get myself out to LA first and figure it out from there. And so that's how I'm here, basically. That's my journey.
I 100% agree. And also, I just want to point it over to the chat. So during the duration of our show, there's going to be people who are joining, who are excited to see you and talk to you, and they might have some questions for you. So we actually have our first question. Someone wants to know, who are your favorite producers? I know I have a lot, and I'm very excited to hear who you guys are.
Okay. Timbaland is honestly one of the ones that I grew up like, I want to be like Timbaland. T- is another one that I love currently. Those are two top that I'm like, I want to be just like them.
I love
Wait, what about you?
Honestly, I think Hit Boy for sure.
He's amazing. Definitely.
London on a Track, because I love Summer Walker. Yes. Summer Walker is my favorite artist.
Absolutely.
So I love their beats so much. The R&B type beats are my favorite. What kind of beats are you into when you produce?
Same, R&B, hip hop, mostly leaning towards that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. So I kind of want to take it back a little bit. You were just talking about how, you know, you've been in this business for so long. You know, you're doing the music production. You're kind of just like embodying every single facet of the music industry. Have you always known you wanted to do this?
Since I was a kid.
Really? And how did you figure it out?
One of my aunts gifted me this little purple piano. It was like I don't know the brand. It was a toy piano. And I just love spending so much time on it. And listening to the little songs that it had pre-programmed.
Yeah.
And then my dad growing up, he had this like music room. He used to play like in a cover band.
Yeah.
So he always had instruments around the house. And I'd always, every minute that I got, would get on there and like play music. I don't know what I was doing.
No, I love it.
But I'd be on there,
That's
you know.
so
I
sweet.
always knew that's what made me happy was
I feel the same
performing the music.
Of
and
course.
I was just like, I need to get to be a music producer, but you know,
That's amazing.
I didn't know how, so I figured, let me get my way into the music industry first of all. Like, record label was the only job that I knew existed back in the day. Now there's so many more jobs, you know. You can work in the live entertainment and doing shows, just so many more. But record label was the only thing that came to mind, because back then that's all that I knew. So I was like, well, let me get my foot in the door at a record label. But I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? I'm coming from Calexico. It's like a small town in the middle of nowhere. There's no music industry there. So I was like, well, let me go to school out there, USC, fellow Trojan at
Yes.
FCU.
Yes, that's amazing. Oh, how did you always know you wanted to go to USC?
Yeah, well, that was the only school back then that offered a music industry program.
Okay.
There were others that offered music majors, but like music theory.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's not necessary. I don't think that's going to get me in the door. But music industry was something that could definitely open doors for me.
Yeah, of course.
But I didn't major in it. And now you majored in journalism, right?
I was basically the same as you, journalism major, music industry minor.
Okay, so Annenberg.
Yes, exactly.
So I was communication.
Yes, yes.
And I just decided to keep it broad. At the advice of my sister, she was like, well, the music industry can be cutthroat. You know, what if you don't make it?
Real. I mean, that's real. And we could talk about that too. Yeah, that is real.
And especially not having any connections, you know, not knowing how I'm going to break in. It's like, all right, well, I can keep it broad, you know, keep it safe, because at least with communication, with journalism, you can go pretty much in any field.
Literally, you can pretty much do anything.
Yeah.
And I think the music industry minor at USC was also really good in that it kind of equipped you with all the tools that you need to do what you're doing now. And I would love to hear more about that. Like, how did your time at USC in that program help you with what you're doing now? Or did it more so just kind of give you insight into what you wanted to do?
It helped me and it gave me insight. There was one professor, Dr. Paul Young. He recommended this book, the Everything You Need to Know About the Music. I'm sure you read it.
Yes.
By Donald Passman.
Yup, Donald Passman. Yep. Shout out to Donald.
So get that book if you haven't already and you want to learn about the music industry, because that covers, you know, front to back everything about the music industry, literally. So that gave me a good overview, you know, things that I didn't know and things that weren't covered in the classes.
Exactly. Because there's a lot of chapters in that.
There's a lot. And it changes every year, you know. There's
really
always an update. But they update the book every year too, so it's always up to date. So that was a good, like, oh, okay, you know, because I didn't know what professions existed within
well, it's hard.
Before.
Like I don't know about where you were growing up, but where I was growing up, which was a little town outside of Philadelphia.
What was the town?
It's called West Defford.
West Defford, okay.
Yeah, in South Jersey. Shout out to South Jersey. Shout out to Philly. But nobody knew what the heck I was talking about. Like, I was the girl who like, you know, like I would drive everyone home from school, and then I would be playing like Tink and Sydney Renee, and all of the, you know, the OG R&B girlies, and my friends would be like, Brookwell, like they would be like, Taylor, who is this? Like, how did you find this music? And I was like, well, you know, I was on YouTube, I like sad girl music, and then they came up, and I was like, I'm addicted. This is what I want. This is the music I love. And so I always knew I wanted to work in the music industry, but like no one understood. So I definitely resonate with that. And I'm thinking like, can I actually work in music, or is it just a hobby?
Right? You think that when you don't know anybody in the music industry, you like think it's like some far-fetched dream that's never going to happen.
Exactly, and that's what it feels like. But then now look at you. Like, could you ever have imagined that you would get into this position?
Honestly, no.
Really?
I didn't think I'd ever make it to director.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's always been something that I wanted to do, grow up, you know, the corporate ladder, but did I ever think actually? No, because it's like I don't have a lot of role models looking up to that are in this position, you know.
Who do you look up to? And that's the thing. And I think that's also why it's important that we're here and we're talking about it, because even just for people out there who want to do what you're doing, like, you know, who do they look up to? But it's amazing because now they can look up to you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, for me, it was like I used to be a big fan of 3LW, this R&B girl group, and they used to have message boards online, and their manager would go on there and post. And so I would chat. You know, I met the manager several times, and I'm like, oh, cool. Well, she's an A&R. You know, she gets to do this. So that was kind of like my little insight into the music industry. Yeah. But again, same like you, everybody was like, you're crazy. Not like you're crazy, but like
they
you
would
have these
say
crazy dreams.
They would,
like you're from a small town. You're gonna make it into LA at work at a major record label. Like,
no, for real.
We sounded crazy.
Right? Exactly. I remember when oh my gosh, it's kind of embarrassing, but I remember when I first learned about the music business, I went to a school in New York for my first year. Okay. And when I got there, I was just journalism. I had no idea about music. All I knew is that it was the only thing getting me through the pandemic, to be honest. It was a hard time.
It's a tough time for everybody, yeah.
Right? And then I remember meeting people who told me their major was music industry or music business. And I was like piano? And they were like, no, like music business. Like, I want to be a music manager. And I'm like, what is that? What do you mean? There's a business? Like, you mean someone doesn't just put the music on the radio and it comes into my ears? Like, what do you mean? And then someone told me they wanted to be an artist manager. And I was like, wait, there's an industry behind all this? Behind the business? Like, there's something there. And then ever since then, I've been hooked for the past like 4 or 5 years. And I can't believe growing up, no one ever told us you can work in the arts. Like, I don't know about you, but where I'm from, no one told me that. I thought I was going to grow up, be a doctor or lawyer or veterinarian. Like,
I thought I was gonna be a teacher. Like, honestly,
yes. Everyone was.
I'm glad I didn't go that field because I don't have the patience for it.
No, exactly. I love kids. I love kids
and all, but not for me.
Right?
Yeah.
it's crazy because no one tells you that you can pursue what makes you happy. But look at you now. You built a life out of it. How does that feel? Like, do you think about that a lot?
I don't, but there's moments where it's like, I need to stop. Like, on the days when it gets hard, you know, it's a tough day. It's like, wow, no, like, I've really built this.
You built
brick by brick, just, you know.
Brick by brick. Yeah. Exactly. I love that. And I mean, you know, when you were younger, what were people kind of telling you to do? Was it like the teacher direction?
Yeah, my family definitely wanted me to go the teacher route because a lot of my family members became teachers, and like that's like the safe route, and then you get summer vacation, you know, which sounded appealing kind of, but it's not what I love to do. You know, I love music.
Exactly.
It's just, I love listening to music. Like, literally, I'm listening to music from the moment I get up to the moment I'm going to sleep, basically. Same, right? So it's like, I want to make a career out of this.
Exactly. And what kind of music? We're talking about your childhood right now, so taking a couple steps back, what kind of music did you grow up on?
I love listening to Selena and Gloria Trevi, which came back like full circle like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I got to work with Gloria Trevi.
Wow.
And yeah, it was crazy. I had this like surreal moment. I'm standing in an elevator taking Gloria Trevi to meet her fans from a radio contest.
That's amazing.
And I'm just like, oh my God, is this real life? Like, I used to sit, like, stand in front of the mirror with a hairbrush, and like sing to her songs. And like, here she is right next to me now. You know, I'm beautiful. Like, wow. And then with Selena Quintanilla, her sister, I interviewed her sister as part of Hispanic Heritage Month a couple summers back.
That's amazing.
So I was just like, wow, like I grew up listening to these artists and here I am, full circle, you know, like this is really possible. So that's just something that I really want to tell everybody out there. Like, if you have a dream in the music industry, like you can do it. If I can do it, so can you. Like a Taylor too, you know?
I love that. And I think that's amazing. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there who do want to do this, but obviously not everyone has the knowledge or the resources. And honestly, like I didn't really have it until I fought to really just make my way in by getting into the mentorship programs. And I mean, you're a mentor yourself. Can you maybe talk about like, what would you advise for people that want to be in your position? Like, how do you, I mean, obviously it was so hard, but how did you get to where you are now? What did that journey kind of look like?
It's a lot of hard work, a lot of motivation. You got to be determined. I know it sounds super cliche, but it's the honest truth. Like when I was an intern, I was interviewing, and there were a lot of other candidates that were more qualified for the internship than me. Like, they were actually music majors. They had other experience with internships in the music industry at other labels. But at the end of the internship, I asked my manager, like, what made you choose me over them who are more qualified? And he was like, well, you were more, like, excited about it. Like, you looked like you really wanted to be here. I'm like, well, yeah, I do. But I'm like, but why would that triumph over experience? You know, he's like, well, because these days, you know, it gets hard sometimes in the music industry. So you got to really have that love for it and that passion. And that's going to 100% win over if you have experience or not. Because the experience, like, it can be learned. Honestly, I don't know, like, all the things that I've done in my jobs, like, I had to learn them all at some point. You know, I didn't come into the business knowing how to do these jobs. Like, you learn on the job as you go. Like, everything can literally be learned. But like you said, a lot of people don't have access to the knowledge. But I think now it's a lot easier with the internet. You know, you can take classes online.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
I would say, like, you know, in this day and age, is there any resources that you think could be particularly helpful for anyone that does want to do what you're doing?
I mean, going to college for it definitely helped. I think for you helped as well, right? Having the name USC and having a music industry minor, like that alone shows your dedication. Like, yes, she really wants this. So I do definitely recommend, if you can go for a higher education and get that degree, that's definitely going to help. And then I don't know about for you, but for me, my internship, I got it through USC's internship portal.
Oh, okay,
basically, they have all the listings there. And I applied through there, and like within a few weeks, I got a call back to interview.
That's amazing. What was that internship like? So that was kind of like your first taste of the music industry, right?
Yeah, it was exciting, honestly. Like, I was so nervous the first day, but it was at 10 UCP, that tall building in Universal City, next to Universal Studios. And I just remember walking in and seeing on the walls, like, plaques and posters of Young Money, Justin Bieber, Rihanna. So, like, it was super exciting for me, you know. The work itself, it was online marketing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a lot of reports. It was a lot of, like, mundane stuff, you know. And now I understood why. You know, they wanted somebody who was really enthusiastic about it and loved the music. Because, you know, it does get repetitive. Right. But as with any internship, you know, you got to work your way from the bottom up. You're going to start doing reports. So it was a lot going on Twitter, on Facebook, checking what the socials look like for artists, what the fan engagement was like, and basically putting reports together for the managers and like seeing where they needed to improve, what was working, what was not. So that was like my day to day. And it was like maybe twice a week that I was going in.
That's really interesting. And with that being said, I am really curious, how did that internship shape the rest of your career?
So from there, I interviewed again. I signed up. That was over the summer. And one thing I do want to say about that internship, I was kind of against getting that internship.
Really? Wait, tell me. Yeah.
My brother-in-law was actually the one that said, you need to get an internship over the summer. Because it was my last summer going from junior year to senior year.
Okay.
And I really hadn't had any work experience, other than just being in school. And he's like, you need to take that internship. I'm like, but it's the summer. I want to rest. You know, it's my last summer. And then I wasn't enrolled in classes for the summer, so I had to pay out of pocket, basically $2,000 to work, because, you know, it wasn't covered through the financial aid. So I had to pay $2,000 to basically work for free, like academic credit, you know, because back then it wasn't a paid internship.
Okay.
So I was like, no, you're crazy. Why am I going to go work for free? But it ended up being, honestly, like the best decision.
The best decision.
Yeah. So I do recommend everybody like investing in themselves, investing in their education. So yeah, I applied again for another internship, and the internship coordinator reached out to me, and she's like, I see you speak Spanish. Like, would you at all be interested in working at a Latin label? Like, UMLE is in need of Spanish-speaking interns. So I'm like, yeah, sure, absolutely, sign me up. So I interviewed, and they had interviewed a couple people before me, but like she hired me right on the spot, the marketing coordinator. She's like, yeah, I see. Because I went on their website too and like did the research, like, oh, they have artists like Don Omar, Wisin y Yandel, Chino y Nacho, was just like everybody that I was listening to at the time. So like, this would be a dream come true to work here, you know? So I showed up again with that excitement, enthusiasm to the interview, and she's like, you got it. Like, when can you start, basically?
That's amazing. I love when moments like that happen, just because it's so validating. It's like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm in the right place. I'm doing all the right things. That's absolutely amazing. And, you know, so obviously we still have internships at UMG, and I'm sure that a lot of our viewers are interested in those. Do you have any advice for any candidates that want to just stand out in the process? Because I do believe that the internship applications are supposed to go live. I think it's December, so another like 2 months, I would say.
Yeah. I would say definitely freshen up your resume. But when you go into the interview, just show that you really want it. Yeah. I can tell you what not to do. I've had some interns potential come in to do. I asked them, you know, the typical question, like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I had somebody tell me that they wanted to be a veterinarian. So I'm like, why are you here? Like,
wait, a veterinarian?
Yeah. I was just a shock to like, so I'm like, why are you interviewing?
I mean,
You're
like dogs.
You know, like, right? I'm like, so of course I passed up on them, you know, like I want somebody that really wants to be here, whose dream it is to be working in the music industry, you know? So really just show that enthusiasm, you know, show that you want to be there. And that you're willing to learn. If there's things that you don't know, you can always learn it. You can pull it up, you know, YouTube University we were talking about. Just, there's always something to learn, and just having that drive, that motivation, you know?
Okay. No, I mean, that's really good to know. So we have some do's and some don'ts. Don't talk about something that is unrelated, but do come in very excited and
prepared.
Very much, prepared.
Do your research. Definitely go on that record label's website and get familiar with their artist. Do your research.
And then freshen up that resume as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So,
and tailor it to, you know, you'll see, tailor the resume. Sorry. Tailor the resume to that job, you know, like if you see the internship calls for, you know, marketing or online, whatever, they need creative people, tailor it to that, you know?
Okay. So I'm very curious because obviously, I mean, I think it's absolutely incredible that, you know, you're going on 13 years in the industry.
13 years now.
First off, you look absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing.
Likewise.
Thank you so much. That's incredible. And oh my gosh, I mean, I don't know, I just think it's so exciting to see you in this huge director role. Like you're a leader in the company, and that's amazing. And, you know, you started off as an intern, and that's inspiring to me, and I'm sure it's inspiring to everyone else watching this. But I will say, right now, as you know, the job market is tough. So I'm curious, how did you kind of land that first full-time role after your internship? Like, what were the steps that you took? And I think a lot of people would maybe even appreciate some advice on how to land that first role. Yeah, so once I started the internship with UMLE, I did 1 semester. Okay. And I was just open to helping anybody and everybody that needed anything done. Amazing, from helping the product managers draft the bios for the artist, to the press releases, to translating the press releases, pulling up radio reports for the promotions people, going to get coffee for the general manager. Like, I just made myself available, useful, whatever I could help with, let me help, and talking to everybody. So my first semester was up the internship, and they asked me back, like, hey, would you be interested in coming back another semester? Like, we really like how you work. It's like, absolutely, you know, I had nothing else lined up at the time, so I'm like, yes, if you want me here, like, I'm here. So I would go in Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I'd be there all day, like
I was the first one in, last one out.
Wow.
Like there was a lot of work to be done, and it's just I enjoyed being there. You know, it was just the environment. You get to walk the halls with the plaques on the walls, the posters. Like it was a fun experience for me, and just talking to different departments, like, what can I help you with? I would finish all my work. But let's be clear, let's finish your work first as an intern, whatever your duties are. Don't go talking when you have a bunch of other work to do. But once you finish yours, then, you know, go talk to other departments. Like, is there anything that I can be useful with? I would go to shows and I would go like take pictures and videos and I'd pass that off to the digital team. Like, hey, you guys, I think we could use this on socials. You know, that wasn't my job, but I would try to help others, you know, make myself useful. And then that internship ended. And then the general manager was like, well, you know, you can still come around. Like, feel free to drop by whenever, you know. And so I did occasionally, you know, I'd drop by like, hey, what can I help you guys with? Whatever, you know, I had already graduated. It was my last semester. And I didn't know what I was going to do next. But then I went back home for the summer, back to Calexico, and I remember sitting on my bed in my childhood bedroom and just getting that call from the general manager, like, hey, our marketing coordinator is like done. Would you be interested in taking that position? So I was like, absolutely, yes.
Wow.
Like, but it was all because, you know, putting in the hours, putting in the hard work, helping everybody, you know, being adamant that, yes, I want to work in the music industry. Yes, I want to be here specifically at UMLE, making that known to everybody, and that he reached out. And I did that job for maybe like 2 years, marketing coordinator.
That's amazing. And what happened after that? Well, first off, congratulations.
Thank you.
Obviously, you know, I think we all definitely understand, you know, going from that like first like amazing internship and then you're like, what's next for me? And, you know, you went back home and you didn't really know what was going to happen next, but you just put your faith in yourself.
I did. I put it all into the internship, basically.
Wow.
And that's happened with a lot of people at UMLE, honestly. A lot of people have started as interns. I mean, you started as an 1824 rep, right?
Yes.
And you're working your way, like, look, you're hosting now. So
Thank you.
And it's because people notice Taylor's a hard worker.
Thanks.
Taylor's going to be a great host, you know?
Thank
So
you.
it's you that got yourself here, too.
Thanks. I'll cry. That means a lot. I really appreciate that.
But see, it's a testament to you put in the hard work, you keep moving up.
No, same to you. And I mean, look at you. You're about to be CEO out here. Like,
Oh, thank you.
of course. What does it feel like now? So I just want to kind of go like a little across your journey. So intern, marketing coordinator.
Marketing
what
coordinator.
was next after that?
So as marketing coordinator, it was fun. It was all fun.
I'm curious.
I, in that role, did a lot of more administrative stuff, like booking artists' travel, their hotel, their flights. That was stressful, dealing with that. If an artist missed their flight on the weekend, you know, having to call the travel agency like, hey, so-and-so missed their flight. Can we please rebook?
Please.
So that was super stressful. But also going to the shows and taking guests to go meet the artists. Like, that was all fun, you know.
That's really fun.
But also administrative stuff like managing the budgets, issuing POs, getting vendors paid, you know, all the not-so-fun stuff.
All the not so fun stuff. But then again, I mean, getting to bring the artists backstage.
Yeah.
So it's like a balance.
It's a balance, yeah.
Okay.
So I did love that job, but at that point, like, I felt like it was time to grow into a manager role. And the managers that were there were like, they were there for a while. I'm like, they're not going to be leaving anytime soon.
I get that.
And I talked to somebody else who worked at UMLE, Lydia, and she was like, you would be really good for a manager role. Scander is hiring over in digital. You should go ask him about it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, yeah, you know, because I'm looking to grow, you know. I don't want to stay marketing coordinator for forever, for my whole life.
So you did what, 2 years marketing coordinator?
About 2 years, more or less,
for sure.
And it was fun, and I learned a lot, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, I do miss those days, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it was fun. I got to be creative. I got to help with the press releases, with the bios.
I love
with
that.
the email blast that went out. I'd work with the creative designer on the graphics, posters. Like, that was all creative stuff. That was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, in the digital role, I reached out to Scander, who I knew through working at UMLE. It was a very informal thing, like, hey, do you have time to go to lunch? You know, I'm interested in learning more about this digital manager role. Like, can you talk about it? He's like, yeah, sure, let's go. So we went to lunch, and like,
where'd you guys go?
Honestly, I don't remember. Somewhere in Woodland Hills.
Okay, was it good?
Yeah, it was good. It was like a sandwich place. I want to say it was like Leo and Lily or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember, honestly. But it was very informal, you know, just talking one-on-one. Little did I know that was my interview. Like,
wow.
There was no formal interview. It was
but
that.
you got it for yourself. Like, you put yourself out there. That's so important.
Because I started telling, like, Lydia, for example, like, hey, like, I want to grow. What do you recommend, you know? But that's me putting myself out there. So she knew, like, hey, and she went and talked to Scander, too, like, hey, you know, I think Kennia would be good for this role. So you do have to put yourself out there, you know, let people know what you want, what your goals are, so they can help you get there.
Wow. That's amazing. And I don't know, I just think that's incredible because it's such a testament to, like, what is that saying my mom says? I think all the moms say it, but it's like closed mouths don't get fed.
Yes.
So if you
Yeah.
don't say
100%.
nothing, if you don't put yourself out there, if you don't speak it into existence, into the universe, no one's gonna know what you want.
Exactly.
So you took the initiative, and that's really inspiring for myself, and I think everybody else in the chat who's watching this live stream today. The fact that like you made it happen for yourself.
I mean,
you
have
decided
to.
it was time, and you did that.
Like, how else is anybody going to know if you don't speak up? Nobody else is going to speak up for you.
No, that's so
you know,
true.
so you just kind of got to put it out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a few days later, Skander calls me up and he's like, "Hey, do you want that job? You know, here's the salary." So I was like, "Yeah, sure." I didn't even know that was my interview. You know,
Yeah.
But here we go, and I transferred role into digital marketing manager.
Wow.
There.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm so curious. Okay, and again, this is kind of just us taking like a little like trek through your journey. So intern, marketing coordinator, and then digital marketing manager.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
That-
digital product manager.
Digital project
Yeah.
manager. So what did that role look like? I'm so curious. That sounds really fun. I think it
was
sounds fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It's definitely
Yeah.
not as exciting as like working with the artists and doing the
Okay.
creative stuff, but it was more like checking if our products were available on the stores, if the
Okay.
products were available on Spotify, if the videos were live on Vivo,
Wow.
YouTube, the pricing, if we were going to run any special pricing campaigns, if we were going to run special pre-orders for any albums, like what that looked like, what instant grats, what the pricing was going to be. So working
Okay.
alongside with A&R and marketing, setting
Okay.
up everything digital, making sure everything was right.
Would you say, was it like a personable role? Like, was it kind of like a role where you got a lot of face-to-face time with each other? Or was it mostly concentrated in like the digital world?
It was more digital. It was a lot of
Okay.
calls, less face to face. And even in today's my role as a production, it's a lot
Yeah.
of calls. It's hardly
Okay.
ever face to face.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, and then what happened after that role?
So after that, I think I did maybe like 3 years there. I honestly don't remember the time. It's just
Yeah.
like gone by. And then a position became available in production.
Yeah.
And I landed there basically.
Yeah.
Again, just expressing, I want to be here. I still,
Yeah.
I want to learn different areas, talking, I talked to Ricardo before I got into that position, and like he was cool. He would tell me about what he does.
Yeah.
So I got moved over there, and
Yeah.
I've been there a couple years. I don't even know how many years now, 4 or 5 years. I
Okay.
honestly don't know. I've lost track of the time.
That's okay. That's amazing. And so that kind of brings us to now, right?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so I think, a lot of our viewers would really love to know, and I'm sure the chat can attest to this, what does a day in your life look like now? Like, what does your role kind of look like now? Because I think a lot of us would be really curious to hear what this role is like, in case there's anyone out there who's interested in pursuing this.
Yeah, in production, if anybody wants to work in production, I didn't even know this
Yeah.
role existed, honestly,
Yeah.
without being here.
Right.
I don't know how I thought music got pushed out, but like,
Shoot, I didn't know either. I didn't even know it was in the music industry. I thought it just came into our ears.
right? As a child, I used to think like the artist would be at the radio station, like actually
Yes,
playing live.
playing
and,
the music.
But yeah, there is a production team that pushes out the music.
Wow.
Like my day to day, basically every single day, it's meetings. It starts with meetings at either 8:30 or 9 a.m. With A&R and sometimes marketing.
Okay.
And I'm leading the call, basically like, all right, for this week we have Fade, we have
Yeah.
Jayco. Okay, what's the status? Do we have the artwork? Do we
Yeah.
have the audio? Do we have legal approval? What are we missing? Oh, the date's changing. So I'm like in real time, just keeping tabs of what's missing, what we need in order to push the product out.
Got it.
And we oversee different labels. Like I oversee Universal Music Latino,
That's amazing.
Machete Music, Fonovisa, Disa, and we do some Virgin Music, US Latin stuff as well. So just every day, and Rebellion. So we see every single day there's a meeting with each label and see their products. Like, all right, what's the
Okay.
status? Oh, and I forgot, Universal Music Mexico as well.
Okay.
So it's a lot of
It's a
moving parts.
lot.
We just have basically one master document with all the schedule, and I'm going through literally line by line with the A&Rs, like, all right, for this Friday, we have this
Wow.
video. It hasn't been delivered. Where are we? Oh, that's going to be a rush. Okay, we got to prep for that.
Okay.
So that's literally day in, day out for the morning part. And the rest of the day, I'm just kind of following up on emails like, hey,
it.
we're missing the thumbnails. Hey, we're missing, the video's not ingested at video services yet. Following up. It's a lot of following up, basically.
Okay. And then, I don't know, I just, when you talk about all of the check-ins that you're doing and, all of the projects that you're overseeing, it just makes me really happy to see a woman, especially a woman of color, in this leadership position and getting to tell everyone what to do a little
thank you.
bit. And it just makes me really excited. And so, I think especially like in the spirit of, we're closing off on Hispanic Heritage Month, but I am very curious, like, did you have any role models growing up that you could look at to kind of envision like yourself being in this position?
Not exactly. Not that I knew like personally like that. Like, you know, certainly not working at a record label. The only one that I told you is the manager, 3LW's manager, T. Williams. But I mean, it wasn't that I had that personal connection. Like I would meet her at shows, but it wasn't necessarily that I could look up to her and ask her questions. You know, it was more like, oh, she's doing it, so that career in A&R exists.
It exists for sure.
And for a time, like I thought I wanted to do A&R because, like you, I loved listening to music, going online and finding new artists, who's the new up and coming, you know. But A&R takes a lot, also. Like, so I'm just like, no, I don't think that's for me. And I want to focus on producing, so it's like, no, A&R,
I get that.
But again, if you don't put it out there, like. Once I told the general manager at one point, like, you know, I kind of wanted to do A&R. He's like, well, you should have told me sooner. Like, I wouldn't have had you doing all this marketing stuff. Like, I would have put you more in a career towards A&R. But I'm like, well, I was scared. Like, I don't know. Like, you know, I didn't know any other, like, people that look like me that are doing A&R, you know, like I don't. It's hard, you know. It was hard. I think it's a lot easier now. There's a lot more women.
There is
working at record labels.
Getting to be more. I would say.
Yeah, when I started like 13 years ago, it was like maybe 60 of us, and there were maybe like 5 women, and most were like in admin positions, like. An assistant or at the front desk or coordinators, you know.
What did that feel like?
It was weird, definitely. It was intimidating, weird. I'm not gonna lie. You know, you come into an office and it's all men. It was intimidating, you know, like how do I get to their role? You know, not seeing anybody like you.
Yeah, not seeing anyone like you. And I mean, you know, representation, that's why it's so important to see people who look like you doing the things that you want to do. And, that, you know, that's why especially like, I'm so glad that we have you here today because it's so important for women especially to look and be like, okay, like I can do it too. You know, look at you, like you're taking over the industry. You're in a director position. That's absolutely amazing. And, you know, also being cognizant, like you were one of only a couple women out of 60. Like, wow.
As a marketing coordinator starting off, there's been a big change though. Honestly, now I want to say it's more like half and half. So we've come a long way.
No, absolutely.
But it was hard definitely starting out at first.
And I think all of this, you know, representation, it's so important. And it goes back to also mentorship for the next generation, because I'm sure at one point you could have used mentorship from, you know, a woman of color in the industry. So what does mentorship mean to you? Because I know you're actually a Grammy U mentor, if I'm correct. I am. That's amazing. What has that journey looked like? Because obviously we both know this industry can be so competitive. It can be hard to break into. So I'm curious, how has your mentorship affected you? And then, of course, your mentees as well.
Yeah, I think it's super important to find a mentor. Even if it's not like a formal through a program, like just find somebody that you can ask questions. You know, I think most people would be willing to go grab coffee with you if you're just starting out and ask questions, you know, like I've had people reach out to me like on Instagram, like, hey, would you be willing to meet, you know, and actually people that have worked in other departments within Universal Music Group that want to get to the label side have reached out, like in publishing, like, hey, do you mind, can we meet up for lunch, you know, and they ask me questions. So I think it's important to reach out and get that mentor, even if it's not formal. I want to say like my first mentor was here at UMLE, Lydia, who I said helped me get that job. Like she would just guide me, you know, she'd be like,
amazing.
You should do this, you should do that, you should talk, you should stand up for yourself here, you should do, you know, it's always good because if you don't know anything coming in, you know, you need somebody to help guide you.
Of course.
And for me, mentoring people through the Grammy U program, that's important because they can see, you know, like, oh, well, she's in the director role, like, you know, she can do it. And I love having them just ask me questions, like, what does a day in the life look like? And just getting that firsthand knowledge, you know? Because it's different. I'm sorry. Like, it's different having a one-on-one conversation where you can ask whatever as opposed to just watching, you know, like a live stream of something. Like, this is helpful too. But I do encourage people to reach out, you know? And I know you did that as well. Like, there was something that I did and you reached out on Instagram and you followed me and I'm like, that shows initiative, you know? Like, you're trying to make that connection and build.
Well, exactly. And I think, you know, especially like as someone who just graduated in May, I think finding mentorship is just so important because, again, like you need to know that you can do it too. And you're right. Like, I mean, you know, obviously soon I would love to get into your production career, but it is hard, especially like being a woman and being like, okay, like, you know, I want to produce music, but it's like, who do I look to? Or, you know, wanting to be a DJ, but you're a woman and it's like, who do I look to? Even like an engineer as well, because that is very male dominated. And then wanting to work within the business, wanting to be in a senior leadership position like you are. I just think it's amazing that you're so open to people coming to you and it's so appreciated because we're in an industry where sometimes it can feel gate-kept and, you know, it can feel competitive sometimes. And at the end of the day, like, a lot of people want to be in that spotlight and a lot of people want to be a star, but finding people like you who are so willing to mentor and guide, you need that sometimes because, again, like, us coming from backgrounds where we didn't even really know there was a music business. You know, I really had no idea. And I was so excited when I found out you could actually make a career out of what you love. I can do something I'm passionate about from 9 to 5 every day for the rest of my life. But it all comes from seeing that representation and finding that mentorship. So definitely appreciate you for everything you do, and, you know, thank you for your kindness. And I'm really happy that today we're able to kind of like offer advice to anyone in the chat and anyone watching this who might also want to do what you're doing. So just, you know, want to give you your flowers.
Thank you.
Of course. And the next thing I wanted to ask about, while we are on the topic of that Recording Academy mentorship program, you participated in Grammy Next, if I'm not mistaken. Could you tell me about that?
Yeah, so it's a program that I highly recommend to everybody. You have to be a Recording Academy member first. But then every summer they run this program where they pair you with a mentor. And that was also kind of like my first taste of like official mentorship. So I got paired with Harvey Mason Jr. and
my God.
Yeah, right. And so he had me come into the studio a couple times and like, this is how I work. And so, to speak on the point of mentorship, like it helps going into that environment and seeing like, wow, like people are really making careers out of this, you know,
like whole careers.
Yeah. So it's like when I did the Grammy U, when I mentored mentees, it was online. It was over the pandemic. So they didn't get to come in into the office. But now I would like them to come in to just see, you know, like these are the offices. This is what it's like. There's people making livings out of music.
This is real life.
Because that really does help change your perspective. Once you step in the building and you're like, wow, you're taking it all in. Like this is real life for some people.
That's amazing. I know. When I pull up to the office in the morning, and I have, you know, my loud music. I'm playing like Glorilla or something, and I look and I'm like, wow, I'm about to go to my record label job. This is so cool. And like just like listening to the music like on blast, because that's what I've done my whole life. And being like, this is where they're making the music. This is where they're making the music. It's literally amazing. And wow, how did that program affect you? The Next program, that is so cool.
So again, it was very based on mentorship. They would have sessions and bring in people, songwriters, producers, to just come in and talk to us, and we could ask questions, as many questions as we wanted, and kind of like shadow them in the studio. So that was super cool for me. That was my first like, oh, like I can really make it happen as a music producer. Like these people are doing it, so can I, you know? So I think that really helps a lot if you get to see it firsthand, how people are doing it. And if you can shadow anybody, like that's amazing. Through that program, I met my now mentor, Mansour Safer. He's a producer. I met him just chilling at the studio. Like he started talking to me. He's one of those people that just will talk to everybody and like, oh, so you produce? Like, oh yeah, you want to come shadow me? And like I just went and just watched him work, you know. And that's honestly sometimes the best way to learn, to just watch somebody do it. I'm like, oh, cool. And I learned a lot from that, you know. And so I appreciate people mentoring me, so I feel the need now, like I want to mentor people as well. So anytime I get a chance like
it's
this
like
to
passing
speak,
it on, the kindness.
pass it on.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I know we have a bunch of questions in the chat, but I do just have a couple of more, and then I would definitely like the chat to take over and ask some questions. But while we are on that subject of mentorship, because it is so important in the music business, a couple questions on this note, but do you have any advice on how people can reach out, not only to you, but also to other people that they want to mentor them? Like, how do you politely reach out and respectfully while still kind of, you know, being direct by asking you to be a mentor? Or do you think it should be more of a general thing, like, hi, I would just love to grab coffee with you and get to know you in your career?
I think the general thing, like I've done that with people. They have reached out to grab coffee, to grab lunch. And that's actually how I mentioned it a bit earlier, how people have transferred over to UMLE. Like somebody reached out from publishing, like, hey, you know, I'm interested, like, can I just ask you a few questions about what it's like working at a label? And then she applied there, and then the hiring manager was like, hey, you know, so-and-so says she knows you, like, are you interested, like, do you recommend her? I'm like, well, definitely, because she's reaching out. She's trying to make it happen, you know, so, and she started working there. And same just happened recently with somebody who started working at Fonovisa. I didn't know her, but, you know, she reached out through a mutual friend. So it's like, that shows initiative. You know, they really want that job, so absolutely, I would hire them. And then somebody else that he's no longer there, but he started working at Fonovisa some time ago. And he started like finding people online, you know, like really making it known, like, I really want this job. And it's like, oh my God, if they're putting that much effort into getting the job, like, that's the type of people that we need, you know, not somebody who's just going to apply and let's see if we get it. Like, no, you want somebody who's proactive.
Who really, because they really want it. And like, when you really want to do something, you can tell.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
shows,
when
definitely.
someone wants to be there.
Yeah.
And like, this is really their passion and the thing that they love so much in life. Like, you can just feel the passion vibrating off of them. So
and that ends up being the people that get promoted the most, right? Because they're really hungry for it. They want to do more. Not they want to do more. They actually do more. They're doing stuff that's not necessarily their job. But doing jobs to help other departments, and they work their way up. You know.
I see. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing all that and being transparent.
But I would definitely say reach out for coffee. Like if people want to reach out to me on Instagram as well, like. You know, I'm always open, even if it's not coffee.
So
if you're not in LA, like if you're somewhere else, like reach out, ask me whatever question, like I'll answer.
You're amazing.
I mean, not just me, thank you, but no, there's other people like me. You know, there's definitely I've reached out to people like, hey, you know, what is it like working on that side of the label? Like, more than people like talking about what they do. You know, so
real.
You just gotta approach it like in a way where it's you know, respectful.
Not on some like, give me a job right now.
Yeah. It's more like just ask some questions. I want to gain more knowledge, you know.
Okay. All right, I love that. Okay. And what do you look for maybe in your like potential mentees or somebody that you wanna just like help guide through the industry?
Somebody who really wants to work in the music industry.
Yeah. Because that's how you were.
That's how I was, And the people that have lasted here that long, they're people who have had a passion for music. Because we've had people come and go that like music is not really their thing. It's just, you know, it was a job that became available.
Be a veterinarian.
Right? No, maybe. She didn't make it into the building. But there have been others that, you know, it's not really their passion, you could tell, you know. It was just a job for them. And they got bored real quick and, you know.
Yeah. I feel like if you don't have the tenacity, like at the end of the day, yes, it's a job. But also like, if you don't have that passion, because you need something to look forward to. And this is a life in general type thing. Like, you need something to get excited about every single day. And, you know, I funnily enough, I think I've been here for 3 years now, and I still get excited to check my email in the morning. It's kind of weird. I, like, wake up and I'm like, oh, my God, like, which artist needs something today? Like, I love it. I love
you love your job. And at the end of the day, you want to pick people who love their job. So you want to find a profession that you love, you know? Because at the end of the day, you're going to thrive in that. Like, it sounds so cliche. I know a lot of artists say, like, pick a job that you really love and you'll never work a day in your life. Well, it is true, honestly, though.
It's funny because, oh my gosh, in the beginning when I first started, I didn't even believe this was a job. I was like, what is this? Like,
you're like, is this a joke? Is this real? Like, are
this real life? I was like answering emails and I was like, am I working right now? Like,
this is work. You know? This is real life.
It's amazing. And I mean, obviously, like with that being said, it is hard work. There is tough days. There is long days.
Sure.
But it's worth it in the end. Because
definitely.
Also when you see the fruits of your labor reflected in either the music that's being poured out there or in the projects that you're able to be a part of, like it all feels worth it.
Definitely. Like I'll have moments where like we're rushing to the last minute to get a song out. And then I see it up on Spotify. I'm like, oh, we did it. We made it. You know, and then I'm posting like, everybody go stream this. We worked really hard.
Well, you know what? That's a great question though. What are some of the most standout moments to you that have made all of this worth it?
For example, I think the video might have just been playing right before this, but Fade and Yandel, Manifestation, that EP was like, we were working down to the last minute.
To the wire,
like down to the wire. I'm talking like I was on my computer at 9 p.m. at night making sure everything went live. But you get that sense of relief, like, oh my God, we did it. All the departments came together, A&R, marketing, you know, we did it. It's out there to the world now. And that's really a gratifying thing, you know, to see it out there. Yeah.
No, of course. Have there been any, I know everyone tries to glamorize the music business, but have you had any fun moments maybe meeting any of your favorite artists or attending any events that you had always kind of dreamed of going to?
I'll tell you one that totally was like unexpected. We, a couple years back, had this festival, El Festival. Ooh. And it was all worked by all the employees who had no experience whatsoever in working festivals. You know, there's people that dedicate their whole lives to working music festivals.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody was kind of like, what do we do? But, you know, you figure it out along the way. You know, everybody was like, all right, let's go. Let's game time. Let's go.
Of course.
And we got it done, you know, and that's just a testament. Like, you may not know what you're getting yourself into, but if you try really hard and you ask the right question, like, you can pull it off.
You can pull it off. That's amazing. What was that like?
So that was fun. My role was like catering to the artists, making sure that they were set backstage, that they had, you know, their waters, their food, whatever. Like, it was hospitality.
Yeah.
A role that I had never worked a day in my life before.
Never,
you know, I kind of worked with artists before in marketing, but that was brand new, working a music festival to me. And that was a lot of fun, you know, and I'm just like, wow, this is, again, in real life, we're getting paid to be working a music festival.
Right? It's like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, and on breaks going to see the artists perform. So it's just, that was a lot of fun and unexpected.
That is amazing. I love that so much. You know, we've been talking a lot about mentorship and representation, and I think it's really amazing because there's a lot of women really holding down the industry right now. I want to get to your music production career, but first, is there maybe any woman in the industry that you think are doing big things that you kind of look up to?
As a producer or just in,
Honestly,
in general?
In general, I would say.
I mean, in general, it's just there's a lot more women nowadays that holding like for example, for us, our CFO is Elsa Yep. She's a woman, you know, and she's been holding it down for years as well.
Wow.
So there's a lot of females in leadership positions now,
I love that.
whereas before there wasn't.
Yeah.
Jody Gerson at UMPG.
Yeah,
you know, like
she's amazing.
It's just there are females coming up everywhere now. So I love that because 13 years ago that was not the case.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. There's so many women just doing such big things right now. I can think of like Heather Lowry from Femme It Forward. That's something you should definitely. The mentorship program, amazing. Amber Grimes, Love Renaissance.
Definitely.
I love seeing her do her thing. It makes me so happy. My gosh, there's just a Michelle Dubelier.
Yes,
like,
also.
there is just such amazing women in the industry, and it just makes me so happy. Like seeing other women and like seeing you in this leadership position and seeing girls running labels and just holding everything down. Like,
Yeah, like I saw Michelle speak at several events when we were over at Capitol.
I was about to say,
And like, it's always inspiring and empowering. Like, wow, she's doing it, you know.
Right?
It can be done.
It's amazing. Just seeing everyone doing the thing, like, I love to see it. But talking about women is very important. We should talk about music production. And I really want to hear more about this journey. And, you know, I have so many questions about your music production journey. But, well, first off, I guess, how did you get your start? Because, you know, I've been playing around on Logic, and it's not easy at all. I be struggling. I be crying. I'm like, how do I even, like, make something that sounds moderately decent?
That was me in, like, 2014. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. But like when I was in college, I bought a MacBook specifically because it had GarageBand on it.
Yes, GarageBand.
So I'm like, well, that's bring us to production. You know, I can start on that. So I would just play around with that. You know, but once I started taking it seriously in 2014, one of my coworkers actually encouraged me. She's like, "You have this dream. Like, you should really go for it. Like, why not? You know."
Yeah, you should.
And I just kind of needed that little push. You know, like it's something that I always wanted to do. But again, it's scary when you don't see people like you that are doing it. You're like, how? What are people going to think of me? Like, oh my God, what if I don't do it? What if I tell everybody and then I'm a failure? You know, like all of those things went through my head. That it's like, but I really wish I would have started a lot earlier than, you know, I felt like I waited too long. But basically, it was that push, like, go. I'm gonna do the music with you. Like, let's go. So we went to the Apple store. I bought a brand new laptop with Logic Pro, and went to Guitar Center, bought the little MIDI keyboard, you know, and I just started off of that with, you know, the stock sounds that are in there. And I started taking courses online on lynda.com, which I think is now like through LinkedIn. I'm not sure.
That's so
Coursera.org.
cool.
Like, I would just sit there and just watch. It was like school all over again for me. Just, you know, teaching myself, watching tutorials on YouTube.
That's really cool, though.
But it took a lot of like time and dedication just to go through every course and practice, and like it's hard at first. You know, you're not coming. You hear these music producers who make these amazing beats, and it's like, why am I not there yet?
Why
you know,
am I
and
not
I'm
there
still,
yet?
you know, struggling. Like it was hard for me to just advance past, you know, the 4 bars. I'm like, how 4 bars? Let alone make a whole song. You know how? But it's just that belief and that support that I had from my friends that was like pushing me. Like, yeah, you can do it. You can do it.
You know, something you just said has been so important in my life for the past couple weeks, but that support from your friends.
From your friends,
like,
definitely.
Finding community.
Oh, for sure.
Is so important. And I'm really curious, like within the music business and, you know, also maybe even just like within LA in general, how have you found community and kind of like found that support for not only like your business and music career, but also, you know, your music production career as well. And also just you as a human in general.
I mean, honestly, most of my friends I've met through work, like working here at UMLE, and they've gone off to do other things, work at other places, and then they introduce me to other friends. A lot of friends I've met through the recording academy, through the events, you know, we hang out, and then, let's go to this other event. And, you know, you just start building that little community. Yeah. So I always encourage people to go out to events, because you never know who you're going to meet, you know?
Yeah.
And you might become best friends with that person. Yeah. But a lot of my close friendships have come from people that I work with.
Okay.
But it's super important. And just like, you know, I'll be posting it on Instagram, and people, just that support, like the little hand claps, you know, the hearting it, like, you know, that I appreciate things like that. You know, you feel that love and support from your community.
No, I agree.
It's super important.
I think it's also just like being seen.
Yeah.
You know, like it feels so good when someone recognizes what you're doing, especially when you are working so hard and really just trying to make things happen. Yeah. It's so nice for people to actually recognize it and being like, I see you, I see you, I am proud of you, I resonate with you, and like I'm rooting for you. Yeah. When you have people rooting for you, you can make anything happen. Yeah, definitely. And of course you need to root for yourself as well.
Oh, for sure. And I think that's the biggest where you got to start, because if you don't believe in yourself, then how is anybody else going to believe in you, you know?
Yeah, how could anyone else believe in you if you don't have that, you know, just like intrinsic motivation, like that just internal self-belief, that system.
Yeah, I'm really just sitting down and like, okay, what do I need to learn? How am I going to learn this, you know? And just kind of making a plan for you and setting goals, like that's helped me a lot. Like, okay, this semester, I'm going to sit down and really learn music production to just basically, you know, get a song done, the basics, you know? And you just keep progressing from there.
What do you remember the first song you ever made?
Oh my God, it was garbage. It's like, I don't remember specifically, but it was just a beat, you know, and it's just that I had on loop, and I'm like, how do I get past this?
How do I get past the loop? Yeah. Were you using samples?
No, it was all just programming it with MIDI, playing the sounds. And I had the hardest time. I didn't know about quantizing it to make it like right. So it sounded a whole hot mess. Like it was horrible. But with time, like I mentioned it to one of my best friends from back home, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you know, my boyfriend actually is a music producer. Like you should link up with him." And like we had a session, he actually showed me how to take it from that 4-bar loop to make it a whole song. Wow. And I'm like, wow, like that's how you do it, you know. But again, had I not spoken up and said I'm doing music production, nobody would have been able to help me, because nobody knows. Help you. But now, so every time I go somewhere and I meet someone like, I produce music, like that's the goal, you know.
That's amazing.
And I've had people are more than willing to reach out and help out. Like, come by the studio, come, you know. People are more than willing to help than you would think, I think. Like
I agree, and I think like, you know, I as a writer as well, as a songwriter, like I definitely like I feel like people are a lot more receptive than you would ever think, you know, because you know, working in the business and then also being a creative on the other hand, I feel like people are more receptive than you would imagine to getting together and just building stuff and creating stuff, getting creative and making things together. And I just think it's so beautiful. And so what has that support kind of looked like for you?
I mean, for me, it's been, honestly, I rely on my friends a lot. Like, they will hype me up. Like, how's the music? They always ask me, like, how's the music coming? Like, and I love when people ask me.
I love when people do that. Yes.
Or I'll post something, a little snippet online, and they'll
like,
put a little fire emoji. Yeah, exactly like that. So it's like, it sounds kind of dumb, but it's like things like that, like, hype me up and keep me going. Like, oh, you know, who doesn't like to look at their phone and see, you know, a million likes? Like, not that I have a million likes, but, you know, like.
Okay, you got big time.
No. But, you know, I think it's a human nature thing. Like, you love to feel supported by your friends and loved ones, you know?
It feels like warm. It feels like love. It feels like support.
Exactly.
And we need that. And I think that's also why, like, I try really hard, and I'm sure you do this too, but to hype other people up too, because, you know, if you could do something, we can all do something, you know? There doesn't have to be any of that, like, gatekeeping nature. Like, I get that the industry is competitive. Like, I totally get that. But I think we're all a lot stronger if at the end of the day, we're supporting each other. Because there's room for everyone at the top. And I almost feel like we kind of lose sight of that because we're all so busy on our own journeys. And I totally get that. But at the end of the day, like, there's room for all of us to win.
Definitely.
You know?
And I think we get caught up in our heads a lot, like thinking like, oh my God, what are people going to think? But at the end of the day, people are so focused on themselves that they don't care, you know, like if you mess up on something, nobody's going to remember, you know, like it might haunt you every day for the rest of your life at night, but like, no, everybody else moves on, forgets about it, you know, like, so I think a lot of times we're our biggest critic and we just need that support from others, that push, like, you can do it too, go do it, you know.
Exactly. And I think like also, to be quite honest, like, you know, there's always gonna be people that maybe have certain things to say, or maybe, you know, someone will waste their own energy to be like, oh, I don't like how that sounds. But at the end of the day, like, you could use that time instead of worrying about what other people have to say. You focus on your art.
100%.
Build your art. You
100%.
can be creating instead of being concerned. That's a little quote right there. You can create instead of being concerned. Because it doesn't really matter if you believe in yourself. what does it matter what anyone else has to say, honestly? And that goes for the business, but also for the creative side of it too, you know?
Yeah, you just got to start with believing in yourself. And again, I know it sounds so cliche, like you just got to believe, but it's
you
the
have
truth.
to. It's the first steps to anything, because kind of like, you know, you would like taking all those steps that you have over the course of your career to get where you want to get and to get more career growth and to get yourself into these higher positions. If you did not take the initiative, you wouldn't be in this position.
Yeah.
You could still, you know, not that there's not anything wrong with it, but you could still be, you know, a few steps back to maybe where you were, you know, maybe like 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
but instead now look at where you are. And I mean, you also have just so much coming for you as well in the future.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really up to the person. Like, I've seen people that stayed like in the same role for 7, 8, 9 years.
And if you're happy.
And they're happy with it,
period.
Cool, you know. But for me, I was like, no, we got to keep moving up. We got to keep moving up.
I feel you.
So you just got to be proactive in seeking those opportunities and just talking. I think for the longest time, like, I used to be an introvert and like not like to talk to people. Like, when I was a kid, like, I had the worst social anxiety, like going to school and meeting people. But now it's like, oh my God, no, I actually love it. I love anytime somebody's in town from another office, I'm like, hey, do you want to meet up for lunch? Do you want to grab dinner? Whatever, you know.
That.
And you just start building, and like some of us have become friends off of just that one, like, hey, do you want to go grab
little
lunch?
Text, or one just like, do you want to go grab food or something?
Yeah. And like, you never know what can come out of just one little gesture like that, reaching out.
Exactly. You could make a whole friend.
A whole friendship.
Like, you know,
a
like,
whole best friend. Like,
exactly.
You know.
And someone to support you, and someone that might end up being just like instrumental, not just in your career, but just also in your personal life.
In your personal life, you know, sometimes you need a cheerleader.
Too. Yes.
Like, that's what my friends tell me sometimes, like, Kennia, like, no, all you need is a cheerleader. Like, you believe in yourself, but you just needed that cheerleader to tell you, keep going, you know. And I did in some moments. Like, you know, like, other people believe in me. Like, why am I not believing in myself? Yeah. But it's like, okay, if they believe in me, I got this. I can do this.
Yes.
And we all just push each other.
Sometimes you need it, because and I'm curious to ask you what you do when you're on the verge of giving up, you know, when you have that really tough day. Because I've had some days where I'm like, I'm about ready to give up, you know, like children love me. I will be a preschool teacher. I will teach them their ABs and the C's.
I mean, no, I love teachers, but like, no, you do great at hosting. So like, you got to stick with it, Taylor. Please stick with it. But yeah, I feel like in any industry, but specifically, the music industry, you're going to have some of those moments where you're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. Like, I have not slept. I am stressed. Like, you wake up thinking about what you need to do for that day.
Right.
You go to sleep thinking about what you
Sunday
didn't get
nights.
done. The Sunday night scaries are so real. Yeah, but it's just like, you got to find stuff that you enjoy doing. You know, what for me, it's going to the beach. I like to go to the beach, just cruise. On my way back, I'm probably just going to take PCH down and just, take a moment and just like relax. Like, okay, and remind yourself it's not all that serious. You know, like at the end of the day, we're all human beings. Like, if there's a mistake, you know, just own up to it. I've created a lot of mistakes, you know, but it's just, I just own up to it and get it fixed, you know.
Exactly.
That's the biggest thing. Like, we got to remember that we're all human at the end of the day. We're not machines. We can't be on 24/7. So we're going to make mistakes, and, you know, we just own up to it and fix it.
Exactly. And with that being said, I do have a couple more questions related to this, but like, how do you manage to take care of yourself and just like find time for mental health to restore yourself when you are having these rough moments, and, you know, when every once in a while the ebbs and the flows of life just keep persisting on? How do you kind of find that time in between your creative career and your business career?
Lately, I've been taking my health a lot more seriously.
Good.
One of my coworkers, who's now a friend, she recommended I take ginger shots.
Oh my gosh,
And oh my God, I swear, ever since I started taking them, like, I do not get sick.
Really?
Ever. No. So it's like, that's become like a weekly thing. Yeah. Go
Whole Foods or something.
Whole Foods, Erewhon, wherever.
Wow.
Like, I'm taking them weekly now, and it's like, I'll be around sick people, because I'm a super germaphobe.
Yeah.
So I like try to stay away from sick people, because when I get sick, I get really sick. But
I hate that for you.
Started taking that, and it's like, I'm good, you know, and just eating a lot of fruits and veggies. My boss takes fruits to the office every single week.
I love that.
I'm always getting, you know, all my fruits and veggies in.
I
so
love
just
it,
trying to make sure that I eat and drink healthy.
Of course.
And then just taking time to rest too. Like this weekend, we had yesterday off for Mental Health Day, right? I slept all day yesterday.
Really?
Honestly. Yeah.
That's great. No, because you need it sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to reset.
And you shouldn't feel guilty about that either.
I did for a second. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, no, I've been working on music.
I feel that way too. Yeah.
I'm like, no, it felt so good to just rest. I felt rejuvenated for the first time in a long time after, you know, sleeping for 12 plus hours
Right,
every day this
right.
weekend. But now I'm like, all right, I'm back. I'm
You're
back,
back.
and reloaded, ready to go.
We are so back.
So sometimes you do need to take away, you know, if things are
Yeah.
stressing you out, just, okay, pause. The work is
Yeah.
going to be there when I get back, you know.
Yeah,
And
it really will be.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, sometimes it'll be like 9:30 or 10 o'clock p.m. and I'm like, I gotta keep going. I have to keep going. I have to keep going. And then it's like, wait a minute. There's gonna be a new day tomorrow.
Yeah. The work
and the
will
day
be
after.
there. Yeah.
And the work is not going anymore.
No.
It's gonna be sitting right there when I
Yeah.
wake up.
And it's like, honestly, it's not gonna, we're not doctors here. We're not
Yeah.
saving lives. That's one thing Lydia
Right.
would always tell me. She's like, honey, slow down. Like, we are not saving lives. Like, it's
Right.
okay. The payment can wait one more day.
Yeah.
Like, you have a lot on your plate right now. Handle the more urgent, pressing stuff. Like, that's one thing that's really helpful is putting things in order of urgency.
In
like,
perspective,
what
yeah.
is like of the essence? Like, time is now. You got to get this done now and get that
Yeah.
done first. And if it's something that can wait till the next day, then just wait. You know,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna die over it.
Yeah. No, I think it's really important for us all to kind of keep that in mind because
Yeah.
sometimes we like to think that the world is going to end. And
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, with my anxiety, like it convinces me like the world is going to be over tomorrow if I don't get this email
That one email sent out
right
yeah.
now.
Yeah, because then it consumes you. You go to sleep thinking about it, but it's like,
And it's like,
it'll
is
be
that
there.
really
It's-
true? No, but sometimes you have to put things into perspective. And
Yeah.
I think my friends help me with this a lot with remembering, like, Taylor, like, the work's gonna be there tomorrow.
Yeah,
You know, if
100%.
you need to push this to the next week, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, even like I'll get so stressed when my friends ask me, you know, can we hang out? And it's like I don't really have time. It's like it's okay, girl. We'll do it
Yeah.
on Saturday. Like it's all
Yeah,
good.
and that's what's
So,
important about
you
finding
know?
friends, you know, that are
Yes.
understanding about your career. Like, you will have time for them sometimes, sometimes
Yeah.
not. Like, but, you know, we get
Yeah.
together when we can, and everybody's happy.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have so many more questions to ask you, but I feel bad because I've been asking you all the questions.
Oh, the chat.
Yes. Hi, chat. Thank you all for being here. We're so grateful. And obviously, you've been so amazing. And I know everyone has really good questions. So let's kind of transition over to a little chat Q&A. Hi. So we have Justin asks, what is the best advice that you've ever gotten about breaking into the music industry?
I would say just putting in the work and believing
Yeah.
in yourself. I think a lot of times, this goes for like artists in the music
Yeah.
business as well. A lot of people think you got to have the talent to make it, but a lot
Yeah.
of times you'll see people who are not as talented, but they're working
Yeah.
10 times harder, and they're the ones that make it happen.
Yeah. That
And
is
whereas the
true.
ones that are super talented, that are not trying to put themselves out, they're not putting in the work,
Yeah.
they just kind of fall away. Like,
Yeah.
you know. So I think it's really, as cliche as it sounds, just put in the work, learn as much as you can, network, put yourself out there, and you'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really actually appreciate that advice because, you know, again, like I think both of us can resonate with that. We had our majors were related, but a little different. And so, you know, obviously there's going to be people who straight up studied music industry, music business. And I think that's absolutely amazing. But like, if you have the passion though, I almost think maybe it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, honestly. And a bunch of people that I work with now currently at UMLE, like they were
Yeah.
also journalism majors, communication majors.
Oh, I love that.
So it honestly doesn't really matter at the end of the day what your major is. Like, you still find a way to get in. Just make sure you make it known that that's what you
Yeah.
want to do, and do stuff that will help you get there. You know, obviously you got to work toward it.
No, I love that. And I, you know, it's also just, it's funny like that I got to talk to you today because I just resonate with so many of the things that you're saying. And it used to give me kind of like bad anxiety that my major was not music industry. But then I realized like
honestly.
it's okay.
Yeah.
You still have the skills, you're getting trained, you're learning the things. And I almost think like that work experience and that internship experience has been the training, the job
Yeah.
training that I needed. But the passion, I think, is what's going to, you know, get both of us through the longevity of the music business
Yeah,
careers, you know?
definitely. But again, like, it can be learned even if you don't have that. It will definitely help you if you have that major or minor.
Right,
But
of
if you don't
course.
have it, again, there's a lot that
Yeah.
don't, and they were still able to learn the ropes by being here.
I think it's also like, honestly, you know, I think a really important conversation on accessibility, because at the same time, like, we were very fortunate, you know,
Mm-hmm.
USC is amazing, but not every school has a music industry program,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I also think that's why there's such value in the stuff like the mentorship and just teaching others and being willing to have conversations, because again, just being conscious, like, not every school has a music industry program.
Yeah.
And not every aspiring music industry professional can also attain that education because college is expensive.
It is, but I wouldn't have been able to do it without financial aid, honestly.
No, I feel
but look, I mean, you came from Philadelphia, from the East Coast, all the way out here. Like, you made it happen because you really wanted that so bad that you made it here.
Exactly.
You know, and same for me, like coming from Calexico, the middle of nowhere. Like,
where is that?
It's in California. Okay. It's right on the border with Mexico and Arizona. Oh, but like, there's no music industry scene there. So it's just
no. I feel you.
I was like, I have to get to a major city.
Yeah.
LA is, the next closest major city, I guess. So I'm like, I have to get there to make it happen.
Work. Yeah.
But I feel like now the world is so much more connected that you don't necessarily need to.
That's also true, like social media.
Yeah, like your team a lot is remote, right?
Yeah,
like
we are,
all over the country.
All over the country, literally like everywhere you can imagine, like everywhere, every state we have people representing.
Reps, right, in different colleges. So it's like, it's expanded. It's become a lot more global now.
Absolutely.
Whereas 13 years ago, that team didn't exist.
Right. And so you really just had to make it happen and come all the way here. What was it kind of like? I mean, I don't know how far is Calexico?
Maybe like 4.5, 5 hour drive from here.
Oh wow, okay, no, so that's kind of far away.
So it's a bit of a drive,
Yeah, so you really just kind of like took a leap of faith and came out here.
Yeah.
What was that transition like for you? Do you get to see your family a lot?
I do. I see them. My sister's in San Diego, so like I'll drive down weekends to go see them. But yeah, that was definitely hard. A lot of weekends I was still going back to see my friends.
Really?
Because that was really hard for me to leave my, it's all I've ever known, that small town. Everybody knows each other there.
Yeah.
So that was really hard to leave that comfort zone.
Right.
But once I got thrown into the music industry, it's like these people became my friends and family.
That.
And I'm sure you feel the same way. Like, this has become your family.
It really has.
It's its own little community.
And another thing that people kind of talk about when you're talking about community and friendship within the music business is networking. Mm-hmm. And I know it's kind of a scary word. I know that a lot of
people... I hate that word, honestly.
I hate it too. I don't want to say it, but I hate it too because it's like, I don't ever want to talk to anyone in a way that makes them feel as though I'm trying to get something from them. Like that.
Yeah, you never want to do that.
It feels yucky to
me. It does.
So I'm just curious. So like, at the same time, you need community.
Yeah.
So how do you navigate that line?
I mean, that's something that I learned more recently. It's just by going through the Grammy Next events and just recording Academy events in general, just going and, hey, my name's Kennia. I work at Universal. I'm also a music producer. What do you do?
That's so cool.
Just getting to know somebody on a personal level, not necessarily like, oh, where do you work? What have you done?
What do you do?
Yeah.
I hate it. Like, I love it, but I hate it. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, but just getting to know somebody on a personal level, and then you start seeing them out at events. They introduce you to more people, and your community just starts growing like that,
Exactly.
So I think I've had to learn to not see it so much as networking. It's more just like, oh, I'm just going to go meet more people.
Right, exactly. Yeah, because it's like a line to kind of teeter, and I've definitely been in that situation where I'm like, I'm afraid to go up to people because sometimes I don't want anyone to feel like I need something from them, or that I'm trying to get something from them.
But you don't.
I just want to be friends. Can we just chat?
No, and I remember like when you first started following me a couple years back on IG, like you weren't ever like that. Like, you were just like super supportive on anything that I would post, So it's like, and you remember that, like, if you were ever to like apply for a job, I'm like, oh, Taylor, yes, absolutely. Or if somebody would have asked for a recommendation, I'm like, absolutely. She's super involved in everything, like she's out there, she's a go-getter, she's hustling. You built that reputation for yourself.
That means so much to me. I gotta get off camera and not cry. No, but really, but I think that's also amazing because I don't know about you, but I oftentimes feel a level of imposter syndrome.
Oh, same.
I hope that you don't feel that way
because
you should
sometimes still.
I really
and the
do.
Producer end especially, because it's like I'm not there yet. I don't have the credits yet, so it's kind of still like, oh my God, when is it going to happen for me, But it's like, you got to keep pushing and have faith that it's going to happen eventually, like.
What do you have, because I be really feeling like that a lot. Do you have any advice for dealing with that imposter syndrome? And it's crazy because like looking at someone like you and thinking you could feel imposter syndrome is just a ridiculous concept.
We all do though, honestly.
You're
like
right.
I've spoken to some well-established producers and they're like, girl, same still. I still feel
like,
that,
what you mean?
Like, so it's like, oh, we're all in the same boat. Like nobody knows exactly what they're doing. Everybody's just trying, like we're all winging it,
We are, and I think that's okay.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no like set. I would like, what do you call it? Like structure? Like,
Yeah,
like for
yeah.
doctors or dentists, you know, they have their strict curriculum. Like you got to go and do this 8 years, I don't know what it's called, a residency, right?
Yeah. It's like, boom, you're a doctor.
And exactly, right? For this, there's no, you know, it's just
not.
like, you're dropped in the music industry, figure it out, make your own path, you know? So that's been, I think, like the tricky part for me. It's like navigating like, oh, you know.
Right. No, I feel that so much. And I think on that note, I forgot I was looking at the chat. That's
sorry,
where I was supposed to be. No, but I think on that note, Sincere Sounds says...
Oh my God, him. He's somebody that, Sharon, shout out. We met on the 3LW boards, message boards, but speaking back to community, you know, artists now, you know, they have these strong communities. We met back on the 3LW boards and like we would talk a lot to their manager, Tease, and like, we were fans at the end of the day, like fans on these message boards with dreams of working in the music industry. And he actually used to work at Universal Music Group before. But we're like, oh my God, we both made it. You know, we made it out of from being 3LW fans to now working at record labels. Like we're living out our dreams, you know. And we've always cheered each other on. Like, you know, we didn't know each other in person for the longest time. It was just online, chatting with each other, pushing each other forward. But now, you know, we've met several times, and it's again stating back to the community. You know, if you're a fan of an artist, why not connect with other artists, other fans of that artist, you know, and build community there to start.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I love hearing this. It makes me so happy. And they said, you're a living testament of dreaming it, believing it, working at it, and making it happen.
Oh, thank you, Terrence.
That's so sweet.
But he is too, honestly. We both came from the same place. Just this was all a dream.
And
back
now
then, like,
look, it's legit.
Yeah, like my role model, honestly, I want to say was like 3LW. They would, when I would meet them in person, like I was so giddy as a fan. Like, oh my God, it's my favorite artist. Like, yeah, girl, you can do it. Girl power. We believe in you.
I love it.
And it sounds like so dumb. Like, oh yeah, you know, they were just saying, you know, like these, but it pushed me so much, and it really made me believe in myself to like, wow, here I am.
I can do it too.
Yeah.
And look at you. That makes me so happy. And who was in 3LW?
Keely Williams, Adrian Balon, and Naturi Nadin.
Okay, amazing. Okay,
so it was cool, you know, going to the shows and meeting them, having that artist interaction, and just like, girl, we did it, you can do it too. And I really took that to heart, and here we are, you know, here I am, here's Terrence, like, we did it.
That's so, you know? That is so beautiful. I absolutely love that. We also have someone asking, what project that you've been a part of are you most proud of so far in your career?
The one that I touched on earlier, I think that's the one, the Fade and Yandel one that I've been most hands-on. Okay. I'm not sure where my boss was at the time, but it was, he left everything more to me. So it was like, I was literally on the phone minute to minute with the A&Rs, with Aldo, like, hey, where's the audio? Oh, where's the audio's changing. Like, you know, that I was super duper involved in that project, like, that I felt like, oh, I really had a part in getting that out the door.
How do you keep calm when things happen? Like, for example, an artist maybe telling you they're gonna drop something, and it's like the day before. It's like Wednesday or something.
Oh my God!
Have you had that happen?
We get those bombs every now and then from A&R.
How do you deal? How do you deal with it?
I mean, it's just kind of become a routine nowadays. Yeah. Like, it's like, okay, we know this is coming. All right, we got to prep for it. It's going to be a long night. You know, got to stand by. Got to tell our metadata approvers to be connected at late night to approve this. Yeah. So it's just, you just kind of get used to it, honestly, after doing it so many times. Yeah. I think the first few times that you're into it, you're like, oh my God, are we going to make it on time? Are we not? You know, and you feel that pressure from artist management writing you like, this is supposed to go live in 5 minutes, you know? But it's just trying to manage those expectations. Like, look, you guys just uploaded the video like an hour ago. It's not realistic for us to get it live in an hour. You know, it takes 4 hours to do the Russian jest. And just, I think that's what helps the most, is managing the expectations, like letting them know, like, this will be live tonight. I can't guarantee you what time, but at some point tonight. So just keeping that constant communication, like, because if you tell them, yeah, it's going to happen, and then it's 8 o'clock and that's not live, then that's when everything explodes. Like, what happened? You know, everybody's freaking out, you know. Yeah. So just manage those expectations with realistic timelines.
No, I think it's really important what you said about being realistic, because well, it's also it's tough, because I know that most people kind of have a goal of like the 9 p.m. Thursday, you know, midnight Eastern, and so every Thursday must be quite stressful for you. Is that kind of like a little Christmas Eve every week for you?
I mean, it used to be stressful, honestly, at one point, but I think now we've kind of gotten down all the checks, like, okay, no, this is good in iTunes Connect, this looks good in the Spotify CMS, like, we're good, and if it's a priority, like super like mega release, like it's all eyes on that project. Like, we're all making sure that it's good to go. Okay. We might have, you know, occasionally like Apple had this issue and nobody's products are going live. So it'll be like an industry-wide thing and people are understanding,
Okay.
I think we just had that happen a couple weeks ago where like no artists were live that music. But
Really?
a few hours later it was, and it's fine. It's not the end of the world. Nobody's gonna die because it wasn't live for a couple hours, And I think most people are understanding.
Are fans understanding though?
The fans might not be honest. That's another
curious because I will be honest. Like I know how it works, and I would never be angry. But there's some artists that, oh my gosh, if I was expecting
the fans are diehard.
Yeah, if I was expecting a project to be ready at midnight, and I'm sitting there waiting to put my headphones on, I can't. I would be like, what? Where is Summer Walker's new album? Where is it at? Where is it at?
Yeah, and then everybody starts tweeting the label. Sometimes it's out of our control,
Right,
and I think fans don't really understand that, but
that's so funny.
It goes with it,
I'm curious. So you're a fan too. I think we kind of all
We all are, I
as
think.
fans.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to be.
I think you have to be too. And I'm curious, kind of what does your role as not only a director, of course, at Universal Music Group, but also as a fan look like? And how do you kind of keep those, I guess, not really separate, but maybe I almost think there's a superpower in combining it.
What do you mean,
I'm curious, I don't know, just recognizing that it's okay to love what you do and also be on your business too.
Well, I think it would be weird if you don't love music.
Yeah, I agree.
Because again, we've had some people that it's they'd rather listen to a podcast and nothing wrong with that, but it's just well, why don't you go work at a podcast place? I feel like you'd be a little bit more useful over here. But me, since day one, I've always been a fan of music.
I love that.
I still love going to shows. Anytime we have a show here in LA, I'm like, yes, put me on the list. I want to go.
Yeah.
Because I'm still a fan at the end of the day. I think we all are. Everybody that's survived this long in the music industry, you're this because you're a fan at the end of the day of music. And just having those experiences, seeing the product out and meeting the artists and they thank you for getting all their products out last minute, that's really rewarding.
I definitely agree with that. And I think I know a lot of people talk about the concept of getting jaded and not loving what you do anymore and not getting excited. But I don't know, do you think that there's kind of a superpower to still staying, I guess, taking care of your mental health and making sure that you're still able to show up in all of the ways that you're supposed to?
I think at the end of the day, we all, no matter what department, you're going to feel that at some point because it's not going to be all rainbows and butterflies every time. There's just going to be stress. There's going to be some situations that are out of your control where, people are upset about something,
of
but,
course,
you just got to take it the good with the bad, Where was I? I'm sorry, I blanked out on the second part of the question.
No. You're completely fine. I think it's just tips for
the mental health.
Yeah, the mental health aspect.
Yeah, just sometimes you just gotta completely disconnect. My friends and I will sometimes go hiking on a weekend and just get in touch with nature.
Just get disconnected.
Yeah, take a road trip somewhere. Just
course.
forget about the music for a while. It'll still be there, and once I get back, I'm good again. I don't feel super stressed out.
Yeah.
Like for me, I get 500 emails daily, and that sometimes really super stresses me out.
500?
Yeah.
A day?
Yeah, because I oversee a lot of labels, so it's a lot of products. So it's even to this day and age, it's sometimes where I'm like, but I just expressed that recently to my manager, and he's like, okay, no, we got to find a solution to this. We got to minimize that. And so he's currently actively working to use Monday.com to just find solutions, to minimize the workload. Not the workload, but the emails.
The emails, yeah.
But see, if I hadn't spoken up, again,
nobody would have known.
He wouldn't have known, and he'd be like, "Oh, she's good.
She's
let's keep
fine.
throwing more work at her." But I'm like, no. We gotta keep it down. So now we're actively working with my team. Okay, how can we make this better to put it less emails for everybody?
Okay.
So we're actively, and I'm like, that puts me more at ease now. We're working towards it. That helps me manage the stress.
And I'm also really curious, just because you are a woman of many trades and you do wear many hats. How do you balance your creative career with your business career?
That's hard, but it's I just try to leave work at work.
Okay.
Once I get home, I try to not connect anymore because it's the work's going to be there tomorrow, honestly. Unless it's super urgent, somebody's texting. And that's how I use the judgment. Basically, if somebody's writing me on WhatsApp or calling me, then I know it's urgent. Let me get to it.
Right.
But otherwise, if they're not hitting me up, then I'm like, they can wait one more day.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's not nobody's going to die.
Yeah.
So then at home, even if during the week I'm not super inspired to create, I'll just go through sounds and find stuff that inspires me. It's something every day, just working towards it. one little bit, eventually you'll have a mountain basically.
Yeah. And I think also sometimes you need to just let yourself get lost in the thing that you love. And I think for both of us, at the end of the day, it's just music. It's just pure music and just like getting lost in it and allowing your mind to just wander off because again, like you're talking about 500 emails a day, like you're a titan, you're doing a lot. Like you're literally a warrior. 500 emails is crazy. And you have so much responsibility. And I just think it's amazing that you're able to like bear the brunt of that responsibility, but also carry yourself so well and seemingly, take such good care of your mental health and taking care of yourself all at the same time.
I mean, you have to. It's when you work in such a fast-paced industry like this, it's like you got to make sure you're good. You can't be getting sick, and trying to juggle everything at the same time. So it's like, take care of yourself first, rest. Again, like I slept like maybe 12, 14 hours yesterday, but it's like I needed that to just catch up and I'm good to go again. Like, let's go. I'm energized.
You know what you need. And I think
you got to listen to your body.
Yeah, and like also you can't let that guilt, kind of take you over. Because I've definitely been in those positions where I'm like, I kind of could use a nap, but it's like, oh my God, I could be answering emails. I could be, writing a song. I could be, practicing Logic. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I don't have time. But it's like, at the end of the time, you gotta make time. At the end of the day, you gotta make time
for what you
for the
want to
things
do.
that you need and the things that you want to do. And I would also be curious because you do manage so many things within like all the hats that you wear. How do you go about time management? Do you have any secrets for us?
I mean, I try to get all the calls done in the morning. Okay. If anybody needs to have a call with me, I'm like, book it first thing that you see in the morning. That way, the rest of the day, I'm just focused on clearing out those rest of the 500 emails. Yeah. And focus on priority, like what's urgent, like that's going to release either tonight or tomorrow. Right. Get that stuff knocked out, and then do the stuff that can wait. Okay. Because the work is never going to finish. Like, I'm sure on your end, too, with hosting, like, it just never stops. Yeah. It's always going to be there. So you just got to learn to prioritize. Yeah, exactly. That's the number one thing that I think has helped me. Absolutely. And to just step back and, like, take a break when you need it. Listen to your body. I've gone home sometimes at lunch and taken a nap because it's like I'm that tired, but you come back refreshed, Yeah,
exactly. And you're able to tackle the rest of the day.
Yeah. No, so it's a balance, like you said. And taking care of your mental health as well as your physical health.
Exactly. Finding balance is key. Yeah. But taking us back to the chat, I know we have some questions. Jody is a legend. I totally agree. Props to you Logic users. I'm a Pro Tools girly. Okay, wait. So I love that first off. And I love seeing another female music producer. Absolutely. I love seeing it. What attracted you to Logic?
That it was most like GarageBand.
Okay,
so I was like, that's going to be an easy jump.
That's real.
So I just kind of stuck with it.
Have you tried any others, or are you pretty much centered in Logic?
I've tried, honestly. I've tried with Ableton. It's a whole different workflow. It is. I've tried also learning Pro Tools. Shout out that's a whole nother, it's a whole nother ballgame. So it's difficult, So that for me, I found it best to just invest all my time in like that one and really learn it inside. I become an expert in it, instead of bouncing all over the place. Although it is good to know, because if you're ever thrown in a session and all they have is Ableton,
Real, yeah.
It's good to have a little bit of background knowledge on it.
I love that. And so when it comes to your production journey, what are the goals that you have for yourself?
Just to make that my full-time career, honestly, to just be able to pay the bills off of producing music, to be able to work on music 24/7.
I love that.
Because right now I'm just doing it, evenings and on the weekends. Yeah. Which is fun, but I wish I could dedicate all my time to that because that's when I'm the happiest, honestly. Like once I make a dope beat, I'm like, yes, like, I'll be jumping in the studio by myself or whoever I'm with, like, yeah, we did that, I love that. That's what's the most fun to me is like making something out of nothing. It's like straight out of thin air. Like
it's amazing.
A song,
it's like magic. It's literal magic. Yeah. I feel the same way.
Right? Like an hour ago you had nothing. Nothing existed. And now out of thin air you just made a whole song. Right? Like that's the best feeling in the world to me. Honestly.
That's so beautiful. Do you have any artists or producers that you look up to?
Artists and producers. I love Jahan Sweet, actually. I met him recently, and that's one thing I never stayed in touch with him, but I met him at a mixer one time. And he gave me
so
again,
cool.
It's like you think people are not willing to give out the information and stuff, but he was super willing, like, hit me up whenever, and I never did because I was in my head about, I don't want to be, that annoying, I should have, Yeah. But it's just like, I'll watch any panel that he's on and learn from him, and he's gone on to work with like Taylor Swift and like, so it's like seeing other producers where it's like I met them like 7 years ago and now they're out here winning Grammys.
That's amazing.
And have multi-platinum albums with artists. Like that's an inspiration to me. Like, wow, they were in my position like 10 years ago, like barely starting out. And now they're doing these great, amazing things. And I'm like, wow, if they can do it, I can do it too.
That's amazing. Okay. Well, that makes me so happy. And I think it's important to see, people doing the things that are your goals, like doing the things that you want to do in the future. And how have your sessions been?
Good. Right now I've been sticking a lot to myself just whenever I can work on music, which is typically like late night. So it's like I'll just work on music on myself. But weekends I'll try to link up with people like, hey, let's work on something,
Okay.
But it is hard to find that balance,
No,
but at the end of the day, you have to make time for it.
For the things
if
that you
not,
love.
exactly.
Yeah,
Because if you don't make time for it, then 20 years are going to pass by and then it's like you never did it, So
I love that.
Yeah, that's one thing that I wouldn't say it's a regret, but I wish I would have started a lot earlier.
But you know what? Like, and I totally get that. But I think at the end of the day, like, as long as you started, because here's one thing that I've learned, and a lot of people have things that they want to do and they don't end up even doing them or pursuing it at all. Like, a lot of people have said like, oh, I really want to work in the music business, but then, it's hard sometimes too. And and breaking into it is hard. And like, I have friends that have applied for like tons of internships, but don't end up getting anything.
Yeah.
And it's, it really sucks. So, I mean, I just want you to know, like, at the end of the day, the fact that you started is plenty as well, to affirm you in that. And you're gonna reach all of your goals and more. I mean, look at what you've been doing in your career. Like, I have so much faith in you and so much confidence that every single thing that you want to do while you're here on this earth, you're gonna be able to do it.
Oh, thank you, Taylor.
No, I really believe that.
Thank you.
I need to stop talking because the chat has questions. Let's see. Nohemi and Rodri are here.
I work with them.
Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh.
Mexico City, the team's international over here.
That is so cool. Wow. So what is it like working with teams that are, is there a time difference or I'm totally...
There is. With Mexico, it's an hour difference.
Okay, so not
they're an
bad.
hour ahead. And then we work a lot with Miami. We have an office in Miami as well. So it's a lot of Zoom calls, But that just shows you, like, you don't have to be in any
music
specific...
is universal.
It is. Music is universal. Absolutely. You don't have to specifically be in any one place. Like, you can do a job remotely. I work with the Miami team daily, work with the team in Mexico City. Half of my team is in Monterrey, Mexico as well. So it's like we're spread all over the place,
Wow.
It does, and again with you, there's like 74 of you, maybe,
everywhere.
Like, just reps all across the country.
We're literally everywhere.
So I always tell people, like, don't let that discourage you if you're not specifically in Los Angeles or LA or Miami, where you tend to think the music hubs are. They are, and it is easier if you are there. Yeah. But you can make it happen if you're not there.
No, I definitely agree with that. And I think especially with the rise of, like, something like 1824 where I work, where we have people everywhere and we do a lot of stuff remotely. We actually do have an upcoming invitational conference, which we're all going to be in town for, which is so exciting.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited to see everybody. But some of these people, it's like we've been really like in the trenches together working on crazy stuff, but we're not even together in person.
You've never met face to face.
We haven't met
so
face to face.
It's going to be your first time.
And we're about to meet face to face. And I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, that's the best feeling when you've worked with somebody for so long and then it's finally like, hi, nice to meet you in person.
Hi, we're actually together now.
Yeah, and having that face-to-face, I think, changes the dynamic entirely.
And
that's
the motivation too.
Yeah, that's one thing that my current boss, Ricardo, always told me, like, if you want to work better with somebody, you should go out and to lunch with them or something, and that totally changes the dynamic.
Level.
Like last year we went out to the Miami office and I didn't really know anybody. We hadn't gone out there for work. And I went, and now I'm like super cool with everybody. Like, we'll be on Zoom, and I'll see somebody in the background, and they'll like pop in, like, "Hey, what's up, Kennia?" Like, it just builds that community,
That's
and it's
beautiful.
like we'll just be chatting with each other, and it just changes the whole dynamic. So I always encourage that face to face if you can.
Yeah,
go meet with that person face to face. It changes things 100%.
That's amazing. What was the music scene like in Miami? I want to go. I really want to go.
Tell the 1824 team. We've got to film content out there. It's a lot of our artists are based out there now. Okay. It's shifted, I think, back when I first started 13 years ago, a lot of the artists were here in LA, but it's shifted a lot, the Latin industry to Miami.
Yeah.
All the Latin side is over there because they all live over there.
Yeah.
And it's like the gateway, if artists live in Colombia or they live in Argentina, wherever, like it's just Miami's kind of the central hub.
Yeah.
You feel that like Latin flavor over there, it's a whole different vibe out there.
I love
the weather's a lot better.
Yeah.
Because out here it's super gloomy.
True. Right now it is. Usually we have it so good, but we're not being spoiled right now. But that's awesome. And I would love to hear like a little bit more about just like UMLE in general and like what that experience has been. Because you've been at UMLE for the past 13 years, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so what kind of like keeps you coming back?
I love my job, honestly, at the end of the day, and my bosses have all been great. Like, it's been, you really become a family there, honestly. Like, I don't see myself working anywhere else until I finally reach that producer stage where it's like, I'm only doing producing.
Of course.
So it's like, that's home. And it's really, again, the people that you work with that make it what it is, you know? Like, I love my boss. He's super nice, super accommodating with everything. Shout out Ricardo.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of us are still there. A lot of us have been there for years, you know? It's really become a tight-knit family. I mean,
that's beautiful.
We're with the people that we work with more than we are at home a lot of times, you know?
This is true. You got to love who you work with, for real.
Yeah, so if it wasn't fun, I don't think I would still be there.
Okay.
But all these years, you know, and I've managed to work in different departments throughout those years, so it's been something fresh.
Yeah, you've gotten to kind of like learn a lot of different things. I'm curious, what has been your favorite role thus far?
I would say probably marketing, just because I'm more of a creative, and that's where I got to be more creative in that role. Production is very just like boom, 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 check, 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 you know, which is fun still, but I miss that creative input.
Yeah.
But it was also a lot more stressful, just dealing with that was real time. Like, oh my God, the artists are stuck at the airport. Like, that is like do or die now. You got to get it done
right now, literally.
So that part I do not miss. Honestly, I don't miss the stress of that. Which it didn't happen a lot, but for the time being, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'd rather stay in a role that's not so involved.
No, that totally makes sense. And, you know, it seems like you're really the type of person that, like, you know, you're going to get to where you want to get. And obviously now you're in this huge position. And so now that you are in more of a leadership position, what would your best advice be to maybe anyone who's watching today on Twitch that wants to work for UMLE or wants to work for you?
Reach out, honestly. Like, that's, again, how a lot of people that are working there now reached out to me like, hey, can I ask you some questions? You know, we went to grab lunch, we went to grab coffee. Like, make it known that you want to work there, you know?
Yeah.
That's the best thing, honestly, that I can say. Like, I know it can be scary reaching out to a stranger, you know, and sometimes some people might not respond. They're super busy. They don't see it. You know, I may be offline off social media for some time, so I might not see it till, but eventually I'll respond, you know?
Yeah, of course.
But that always shows to me the initiative. Like, they went out of their way to meet such and such to be like, they really want to be here.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the thing. I think you got to make it known, like, that you really, really, really want it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have the experience, just showing that initiative, you know, like, I want to be here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that.
That will get you in the door at the end of the day. I mean, look at you. Like, you were commenting on everybody's socials before back in the day.
I really did, yeah.
And
I
you're
really
here. You made
I was in
it
New
known.
York too, by the way. That's another thing. I was in upstate New York.
Okay.
That's why I was like so like specific about getting on social media and like making myself known. Because I was like, I'm in upstate New York. Like, no one sees me. No, I can't go to no parties.
We saw you. No, we saw you. Like, and people remember that. Like, oh yeah, Taylor, she was always in the chat. You know, she really wants this. And look, you made it happen. You're hosting now, and you just graduated in May?
Yeah, May 10th. Yeah.
Look at you now. So you're a testament to, like, look, if you really want to put yourself out there, you get the work done. You can do anything you want.
That means so much to me. Yeah, I like this one quote. It's like, there's no testimony without a test.
Oh,
and I like that.
I love that.
Because I just remember being in upstate New York and I wanted to work in music so bad. And I'm not saying that there's not an industry up there, but I am saying that I think deep down I knew I had to get to LA. I love New York so much, like so much. But I think that deep down for like what I was wanting to do and, you know, the room I was wanting to be in, which is this room here.
Look at you now,
you know what I'm saying? Like I kind of knew where I needed to be in.
Yeah.
But also same for you. Because I mean, you were coming from, you said
Calexico, yeah.
Calexico, okay. That's amazing. What, when you were growing up in Calexico, how did you kind of start getting inspired to want to work in music? Was there anyone that you were seeing doing it?
Selena, like she was just like, that was my only reference of somebody that looked like me. And again, here we are 10 years later. I'm talking to her sister. You know,
incredible.
it's just like, wow, you can really make it happen. You know, and when I first started interning with UMLE, like that was really a dream come true for me because it's like, these are all artists that I grew up listening to, you know, seeing them plastered on the wall. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
That's
but
amazing.
I think that just in itself, like you and I both moved from our hometowns, far away from you, so especially from the East Coast.
So far.
And that really shows like you're determined to make it happen. You're here, you know.
Yeah.
So that shows that you really wanted it.
I'm really happy to be here. I'm really genuinely
grateful. I'm really glad you made the move. You know, you're doing it. You're living out your dream.
Too.
Thank you. Yeah, we're living out our dreams. Seriously. And it's like showing people like, look, it can be done, you know?
Was there, so I think it's really amazing that instead of just taking like the writing route or the artist route, you took the production route. And so I'm curious, what inspired you to want to be a music producer specifically?
I've just always had like this connection with music. Like even as a kid, like I remember listening to the little purple piano that I told you would play music, and sometimes it would make me cry. Like,
really?
Yeah.
It just sounds so beautiful.
It just, I don't know what it was, but I'm very, what do you call it, an empath?
Yes, me too.
And I just always felt that connection to music, and I just always like, when I'd be in Calexico, I'd be at the gym, like just dreaming about the day that I'd be here working at a record label. So I'd be on the treadmill running like, all right, hyping up, getting myself hyped up to music.
I'm the same
Even
way.
on the way over here, like I was listening to Big Sean to hype myself up.
What song?
The new album. I just barely started listening to it.
Okay,
and I'm like, oh my God, he's spitting bars.
I
And
love
he's
him
super
so
inspirational.
much.
Yeah.
He
Like,
is.
Again, he talks
His bars,
all facts. Like, he's somebody that I looked up to. Like he
Very
went to rap
conscious.
for Kanye West at a record label, at a radio station.
Yes, a radio station.
But he took that chance. He believed in himself and put himself out there.
Yes. He actually talked about it in that one song. It's called Nothing Is Stopping You. Do you know that song?
I was listening to that song on the way over here.
Yes,
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Dude, that is my favorite song by him.
Yeah,
because it's like,
same.
I don't know how I'm going to get it, but like, I'm going to get it. The lyrics is like, I'm going to get it. I just don't know how.
I don't know how. Yeah.
I get that. I don't know how either.
I just don't know
but
how.
I'm going to get it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's I think, honestly, for most of us, what we're living through, we don't know what we're doing exactly.
We really don't.
Like,
yeah.
We're figuring it out along the way.
Figure it out.
Again, there's no master plan to how things should be done.
And also,
or
things don't always go your way.
Exactly,
either. And that's something I've kind of figured out. Like, things are not always going to go exactly how you want them to go. I remember, like, I have a vision board hanging up in my childhood bedroom.
Me too.
And I thought I was going to be the president right now.
Of the United States?
The country, the United States. Yeah, that didn't happen.
But look, you're doing something even better that you love.
Yes.
Like,
Because I don't really know. That sounds kind of stressful. But it's really funny just, like, looking and being like, sometimes in life, things are not going to go exactly according to your master plan. My master plan was to be sitting in the White House right now. I'm pretty sure that's not even legal. I think you have to be like 35. So I didn't really plan. There was some flaws in that plan, I admit.
But here you are now, loving every day of your job, and you're amazing at it. Like, I think at the end of the day, you really come through to the jobs where you shine.
I think so too.
That's where you excel.
And I think you kind of end up exactly where you're supposed to be. And especially because, so many people, I think, grow up on music, and music is just obviously such an emotional thing. It plays such a large role in all of our lives, but very, very few people actually kind of end up on the other side and are like, I can make this my career. And, I know so many people that have kind of chased other directions, but all they talk about is music. And it's like, I know they want to be part of it so bad. And that's why, doing things like mentoring people and showing people that it's possible, I just applaud you so much for that. Because of course, I just think it's amazing to show people like you can do exactly what you want to do. And it's not going to be easy. I know it's tough right now, especially, but you can do it. You can make it happen. Because if you have your eyes on something, I was a cheerleader in high school, and my coach, she had this really nice quote. It was like, clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose, like something like that.
I've never heard of that.
And I just thought,
what was that again?
Clear eyes. Full hearts.
Okay.
You can't lose.
Oh my God, I love that. With the hand movements. Yeah, absolutely.
If you just keep your eyes on, that's another thing, because I used to reach out to a lot of people and really I begged for advice. And I think it was someone who told me, because I wanted to go to USC since I was younger for whatever reason.
You knew that since you were a kid?
I decided one day. It was very random. I had no idea why, but I knew that they had the best entertainment program. I knew I wanted to be in the entertainment industry, in journalism and entertainment. And it just so happened that USC had the best program, and then they ended up having the best music industry program once I discovered, one of the best, of course, and then I ended up discovering the music business. So I decided to go after it. But when I was trying to get into USC, I would always ask students for advice. And someone told me once, she was like, just keep your eyes on the prize. If you just let that kind of be your guiding light, like if you let your goal be your guiding light throughout your career, there's no way you can lose.
Oh, yeah.
If you just keep going. And USC rejected me actually a couple times.
Oh my gosh.
I swear to God, yeah.
But you kept trying.
But I kept trying.
And you got in eventually.
Because I basically told him, I was like, I'm coming. My mom
I love that. Yeah.
My mom makes fun of me all the time because she's like, I appealed, I applied again, I applied for other majors.
Oh, wow. know.
And they eventually let me in. After like my second or third try, I swear.
You just got to keep trying.
You have to keep going. Because if you don't give up, how could you lose?
Yeah.
If you don't give up, you can't lose.
1,000%.
You have to keep going. No, even if people keep saying, no, like, you know, you're not meant to be here. You don't have good enough grades. You don't have good enough SAT. Like, you know, you don't have the experience. You don't have the major.
Yeah.
If you just keep going and you're relentless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire, who's going to stop you?
Exactly. You're going to be
Who's
unstoppable.
Gonna stop you, right?
And you brought up a good point with the vision board. I also have one as well.
I love that.
I did it later in life, but it's like I've always known, like, I wanted to go to USC. I wanted to be in LA. I wanted to work at Universal Music Group.
Yes, real.
And it's like, boom, I did it all. Now it's just one thing left for me to do is the music production.
I love
and it's
that.
Just,
You're
you just gotta
do
keep.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's just you just got to keep going nonstop. And that is one thing that helps a lot. I think this is the vision board. It's like, for me, for example, I have pictures of myself in the studio to remind myself, like, oh, you remember that feeling that you had in the studio? You were so happy right there. Like, keep pushing towards that. You know?
I need to make one of these.
So that helps me a lot.
I
have it up in my studio, like, just to remind myself, you know. And it's a lot of things, like, you end up checking off, you know.
That's beautiful. That makes me so happy because, you know, I have my vision board. It's sitting at home in my childhood bedroom, but having one for now, especially because motivation is needed now more than ever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, as we're progressing in our careers, and obviously, you know, I still have a long way to go, but, like, I think a vision board is exactly what you need to just keep yourself motivated.
Yeah, 100%.
And keep your eyes on the prize.
I love
that
what
one
you said,
woman
that
taught me.
keep your eyes on the prize. Even if you just do it on your phone, like on my hidden, I have like all, you know, the things that I want, you know, the dream house that I want, the dream car, everything, you know, and it's like you just start checking stuff off.
Do you use
know?
Pinterest?
Pinterest? No, but I should start using that.
You might really like that because that's where I keep a lot of my just like mood boards and inspiration boards,
that helps
and, like motivational boards. You know?
And it's like I'll go to producing and then I see like the list of artists that I want to work with, and it's like, okay, I could do something, you know, along this lines, you know. So that helps definitely having a clear vision of what you want. You may not get there like right now, but at least you know that's the end goal. You know?
Exactly. And I think something that kind of like. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, think that if it doesn't happen all at once, that it's not going to happen. But that's not true.
No. It might not happen now, but it'll happen eventually later on down the line, you know.
Yeah.
Like, thankfully, like everything's worked out the way I wanted it to. It was just, I never thought I would end up in production, honestly, because I didn't know this career existed, this department.
Yeah.
But I'm glad it did. At the end of the day, you know, I've learned everything that goes in the back end of putting a product out. You know, I learned to be organized. I learned the specs that you need to deliver the artwork in, the specs that you need to deliver the audio in. So there's always something that you can learn and apply towards what you really want to be doing. There's always something to be learned.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think like sometimes in life we all really just want things to happen all at once, but obviously it's not going to happen.
It's not.
All at once.
No,
I mean,
that's like,
you know, you're a perfect example too. Like 13 years. You know, sometimes I fear that we get so maybe excited and so anxious that we just want things to happen right away.
Right now, yeah.
But I mean, it took you 13 years, but now you're a director and you went from an intern to a director. Like that's
but it's because you keep pushing
crazy.
Again, like you said, you just keep going. Like there could have been days where it's like, I want to quit. I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore and quit. And like, there goes my music career. Right. But I didn't quit.
You can't give up.
So we're still here.
Right. And like, if you don't give up, you can't lose.
Exactly.
Because you just keep going. And so I think too many people maybe just kind of give up, overwhelmed and give up. But it's like, what's the alternative?
Exactly.
Like, what happens now?
Exactly.
You gave up. Were you gonna sit and wallow?
Exactly.
My mom wouldn't let me do that, first off. But like, what are you gonna do? Yeah, my mom wouldn't let me do that. But what are you gonna do? You have to keep going. And I just think you're such a testament to that. And I mean, honestly, I know we've been here for 2 hours, so I just have. I know it's
oh my God,
crazy,
it went
right?
by so fast.
So fast. I know it's been amazing. If the chat has any more questions, please feel free to let us know, and I'm happy to ask. But if not, you know, the chat is really loving this, and they've really been loving our conversation and you as a person. I just have really one more question on the subject of goals and of never giving up and just like continuing on our journey in this industry and in trying to accomplish everything that we want to accomplish. I'm curious, what is next for you? What are the goals that you have? Like, what do you see for yourself in the future?
Being a music producer, honestly, like I'm keeping this job. This is my last stop, honestly, like until I'm producing full time. Yeah. Because at this point, I don't want to go into another role and start learning all over again. You know, like this, it's easy for me. It's a lot of work, but I know what I'm doing. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I can finish within a set time and then just focus on myself, you know.
That's amazing. And
Thank you. What about you?
Oh, what's next for me?
Yeah. Because I believe in speaking it into existence as well.
I appreciate that
Because if people
so much.
don't know, then, you know.
I mean, I'll just be transparent. I love it here at UMG. I love what I'm doing here with hosting, and I really hope to get into a leadership position here.
And you
honestly.
will.
Thank you.
Will. Again, because you have that drive and motivation. People see it in you. You're a go-getter. You're hustling. You're always like, what can I do? What can I help with?
Thank you.
Boom.
That means a lot to me. Like, genuinely, I really appreciate that. And I just think, like, you're so inspiring to me because you went from, like, right now I'm kind of where you were when you started, I just came out of, 1824, being a rep and, doing this hosting. And now, like, I am seeing what's next for me. And hopefully I'm able to end up being a leader within this company because I really do love it here.
And you will.
Seeing someone like you who has really just, like, risen through the ranks, like, I'm trying to get like you, I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Oh, thank you, Taylor. You will get there eventually. Again, if you have that motivation, that drive, that you don't stop, you're relentless.
Thanks.
Then there's nothing that you can't do. And I wish that's something that I would have known 13 years ago when I was just starting, because I would have started producing way back then, and I would have been a lot further now.
Yeah.
But I know that now, and it's like, just keep pushing. So that's the one message that I have to everybody watching right now is just don't give up. Keep pushing because you're going to get there eventually.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
This has been such a motivational chat. This has really made my day, and it made my day. It kind of feels like a little podcast. It's like we've just been chatting, and like honestly, even if we weren't on camera, I would have loved to
still be doing
have
this
that conversation with you. I probably could do this all day, low
Yeah,
key.
same.
But I do know that you have this big old career and this big title and 500 emails that have probably turned into 1,000 in the past 2 hours. So I'm going to close us out as much as I don't want to have to close us out. This has been Behind the Business, and you are just such an amazing human being. And thank you so much for being here with us today and giving us all your gems. And thank you for being like authentic and transparent. Like, the words that you've been saying have definitely been speaking life into me, and I think they've been speaking life into our audience as well.
Thank you, likewise.
So, thank you so much. I just want you to know, like, you are valued, you are seen and appreciated, and everything that you're doing on the day-to-day, even in the times that it gets hard and it gets rough and it gets stressful and there's 2,000 emails waiting for you, people see you and I see you, and it inspires me. So I just want you to know that even in while you're working, I'm watching, and I know everyone else here is watching and is getting inspired by the things that you do on a day-to-day basis that you might not even think are being seen, but they're so seen. And you're so seen.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for being here. It's been absolutely a pleasure. And thank you all to the chat. We have some really exciting stuff coming up. As you know, we are doing some UMG giveaways. So we have some really fun stuff we're giving away. So make sure you check out the link. It's going to be right here. We have one of our bots putting the link in the chat. Make sure to sign up for our giveaways. And I'm really excited to see y'all again. Same time next week. I would love to do this again.
You're doing the thing, Taylor. I love it. Keep doing it.
Thank you. I will see all of you soon. And thank you so much to our amazing team here at 3.5 and 1824 at Universal Music Group. This has been Behind the Business. Thank you so much, y'all. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Oh my God.
Tanto amor me diste tú, se marchito, me marchó y yo sé perder, pero ay, cómo me duele, ay, cómo me duele. Como la flor, tanto amor me diste tú, se marchito, me marchó y yo sé perder.